606, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Good morning, everybody. Brian here with you. Jake producing. We call it Mornings with Brian Haldane. And guess what? We are literally running this morning. If you're watching on YouTube, you saw the mad dash for me to get in here.
You were moving and grooving in the studio.
I'll tell you what, a lot of last-minute stuff going on. A little behind-the-scenes action.
Hey,
it's all about
hard?
Yeah,
working hard or hardly working?
No, very much working hard.
There you go.
All right. Got a busy show for you today. As the governor done went and did it. He went and vetoed the congressional map. We will talk about that a little in just a minute. Got a lot of ground to cover this morning. First of all, on the guest list, no Patty G today. No Patty G. He had some personal business to tend to. So, he'll be out. Not to worry, though. In his stead, we have replaced him with a man running for Senate and a man who's already a state senator. Actually, the guy running for Senate, we're not talking about the Senate race. Luke Mixon is going to join me at 6:35. Why? Well, dude's a naval pilot. Went to Top Gun. I mean, he knows a thing or two about flying a plane, and it's looking like we're establishing some no-fly zones around Ukraine. Well, what goes into that? I mean, we're not really talking geofencing here, right? Got to talk with Luke Mixon about no-fly zones at 6:35. 6:52. State Senator Franklin Foyle is going to join me on the hotline because the governor has vetoed the congressional maps. Not all of them. Not all of the maps that came out of the special session. But the congressional map specifically, Governor John Bel Edwards vetoed the proposed congressional redistricting map yesterday. We will dive into what exactly that means, a little bit of the why, a little bit of how you come out on the other side, and really, logistically, what now? What's next? Oh, by the way, will we see a veto override in regards to that? And that's just the 6 o'clock hour. We're going to have 2 more hours worth of show after that as well. Oh, yeah. 7 o'clock hour. Of course, we'll have top stories and trending. State Treasurer John Schroder is going to join us at 7:15. Got a lot of ground to cover with the Treasurer. In fact, I was looking through this a little while ago, just before the show, in fact. We're going to talk a little bit about Russia and Ukraine and the effects on our own backyard. We're going to talk a little bit about the Unclaimed property program, the Main Street Recovery Grant program, and honestly, I'm not going to get too far away from the Treasurer. He signed on a bipartisan joint statement on the Russian invasion of Ukraine, but there are going to be trickle-down effects here in Louisiana, and we will dive into that a good bit with the Treasurer. 7:35, we will have Crimestoppers coming your way. In the 8 o'clock hour, LSU's Business School, they've got a sales symposium coming up. Greg Accardo is the director of the Professional Sales Institute, going to join us at 8:15. And then in our 8:35 segment, Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan has been he's been on the recruiting trail, looking to bring new business to town or new businesses to town, more insurers before hurricane season, which is June 1st. So we will dive into all that as the morning wears on. Like we said, we'll also have top stories and trending. We will also have the outside in. We will have this day in history. I got to lead off, though, with and bear with me for just a second because I'm still waiting for my computer to boot up, so I have no idea where I'm at on time. I've got to lead off, though, with the most local of local stories that's not even a story that I've been able to find. Hop on our YouTube page and comment, please. Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. By the way, subscribe while you're there. Did you have brown water last night? Yeah, I know. Price of gas is through the roof. Governor's vetoing congressional maps. There's a war going on halfway around the world. But turn on your tap, and what looked like just brownish water. It was gross. Did you have it last night as well? I posted this up on my new favorite social media site, Nextdoor. It's not just for trolling. It's not just for trolling the HOAs, folks. But apparently this was a thing last night, and I don't know why yet. We had brown water. Okay, I was that guy. I tasted it. It tasted fine. It was just discolored. It didn't smell, but it was gross looking. No idea if it was safe. But like most guys, I'd smell it, and then if it smelled okay, I tasted it. I say like most guys. That's probably not true. I'm probably just gross. But let us know on YouTube, did you have the brown water last night? I'm not talking whiskey. Oh, wait, can't let us know. Are we not on YouTube? Okay. Let us know. Put your comments in on the YouTube live stream as the morning wears on. We're going to touch on this a little bit because I'd like to get to the bottom of it. In the meanwhile, we got to take a break here in just a second. Before we take that break, ever been in a car accident before? If you have ever been in a car accident before, you know how quickly the clock moves. I mean, you got to get moving fast. Is everybody in my car okay? Is everybody in the other car okay? Are we impeding traffic? How bad is the damage to my car? Is anything leaking that might be flammable? A million questions are going to run through your mind. Sifting through to get to the bottom of it to find out when you get to the point of where am I taking my car to be fixed? It's very easy as you get through all those important questions to skip that one and just say, somebody else will come up with that. I'll call my insurance company. They'll let me know. No, bad idea. Hey, there's a tow truck here. I didn't even call them. Boom, problem solved. No, bad idea. CompleteCollision.com. CompleteCollision.com. They've got 2 locations, Plank Road in Zachary and Perkins just east of Blue Bonnet in Baton Rouge. The reason you don't want to leave this decision up to somebody else is because you want to make sure you are the top priority. Not finding the best rate for the insurance company or the cheapest solution for the insurance company, the safest, most effective coverage or most effective repairs out there. Doug and his team, they know the difference between repair and replace. They know how to find hidden damage, and they know how to take care of you. 768-9898 is the phone number for Complete Collision Center. CompleteCollision.com is the website. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out CompleteCollision.com. Yep. 16 and 17 from LRN. Oh, baseball highlights, yeah. There should be a home run somewhere in there. Yeah, and they're all bad. They're not effective. Yeah, was there a home run? Yeah. Are you sure we're on?
Yeah. Sometimes it's weird when I look them up on YouTube on my phone. Sometimes it doesn't show up, but then when you go on the channel, it'll show it.
Okay. There we are.
Do you guys run, or do you want the Barry solo?
How long are they?
Okay, so the Dugas is 16 seconds, and the other one's 15 seconds.
I want both.
Is that the only things you want?
From there, yes.
Dugas are very first.
Which one happened first in real life?
Dugas.
Okay, that one.
This report brought to you by Shawbills, where you can get up to $120 with the purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. Visit ShawbillsTire.com to learn more.
Which one's going first? The highlights and then the yellow run?
Yeah. .616 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. A lot of ground to cover in sports. We're going to start basketball-ish, then move to baseball, then move to actual basketball. First of all, LSU has responded to the NOA, the Notice of Allegations. we can't talk about it is basically the, the long and the short of it there. The quote coming from Cody Worsham, reported by Michael Cobble over at WBRZ. Per NCAA rules and procedures, LSU is unable to comment on any aspect of an ongoing case. We will continue to cooperate fully with the IARP as we work together towards a resolution. This, by the way, if you missed all the headlines yesterday, is a response to the NCAA sending the NOA, the notice of allegation, over to LSU about Will Wade, the damn strong offer to Javonte Smart, and the like. Meanwhile, LSU soldiers on as they are at the SEC tournament right now, set to play Missouri later on today. Get into that in a second. Last night out at the box, they did get the game in between LSU and McNeese. Tigers post up a 6-3 win overall. LSU got those 6 runs off of 11 hits. 2 home runs in the game, like this one.
So here's Dugas. He hits a fly ball to right center. Right fielder drifts back. He is on the track. He's circling around, and that ball is out of here. Dugas goes opposite field to right field. He hit it up into the diamond deck, and LSU leads it 2-0.
LSU would tack on another home run, courtesy of, I believe, Jacob Berry.
And the 1-0, the hard throw. There's a drive to right. That is hit way back down the right field line, and it is gone. Berry homers down the right field line. There is your insurance, and it's 3-1 LSU.
Tigers will take on Bethune-Cookman for a 3-game set in the box this weekend. First game for the 3-game set tomorrow night, 6:30 p.m. over on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Meanwhile, softball with Patrick Wright, who you just heard on the baseball call right there, will be right here on Talk 107.3 FM starting tomorrow night. All right, back to basketball. Will Wade leading the 5th seed LSU Tigers to the SEC men's tournament in Tampa, looking to find some momentum after going 9-9 in conference play. Tigers won 2 out of 3 to close off the regular season. They got some of the top talents in the league. Wade said, first-team All-SEC in Tari Eason, and second-team All-SEC in Darius Days, and All-SEC freshman in Brandon Murray. Wade thinks his team is playing more like the team that started the season 15-1 rather than the one that, struggled throughout conference play.
Still got some stuff we've got to get corrected, but we're certainly playing a lot better. We're certainly playing a lot closer to our capabilities. We're playing a lot closer to how we were earlier in the season, and so we want to keep that going as we're in Tampa.
They need to get a win or 2 in Tampa for sure to improve their seeding in the NCAA tournament. But seeding in the NCAA tournament is going to be decent because of the way Will Wade builds the schedule out. They've got a really good net rating heading in. And not to mention, conference play is just tougher now.
And I think there'll be 6 of us that are in the NCAA tournament, and I think all 6 of us are going to have really good seeds. I think all 6 of us will be in the top half of the bracket. I think there won't be anybody that's lower than an 8 seed. The league's really, really good, especially at the top.
LSU takes on Missouri today. That'll also be on our sister station, Eagle 98.1. Here's Fox Business. I ran out of time before I can get the game time in. $130. Okay. I don't know.
Talk 107.3. Oh, I'll come get you. Just give me a moment. Mixon is here.
Cool. How long do I have?
2 minutes.
Hang on. I've been great, man. How about yourself?
Good. My son had first reconciliation at Mercy last night,
Oh!
which lasted.
So I knew a bunch of people in that room. In fact, I literally ran right by. But my daughter was in track practice.
Okay.
So up on the football field.
Gotcha.
And was not able to get into any cardio at the gym yesterday. And so when I went to the gym, I was like, so I like to do about a half-hour cardio, half-hour lifting.
Nice.
And I had 20 minutes at the gym. I'm like, well, I know I got track practice later on, so I can just go run.
Sure.
So, yeah, I was running right past him. Oh, yeah.
I thought you'd get in, say his little thing, and get out of there, and yeah, wait till everyone's done.
Do what?
Wait till everyone's done their penance before you can leave.
Oh, yeah. Hey, it's the cutest little thing, too. Because, like, what are they confessing? You know?
I said, what are you going to say, buddy? He's like, honestly, I don't know.
Best one was when our oldest, who's now at SJA, when she went through first reconciliation, she comes out and we're like, and Chrissy and I are like, so, would you confess to? She's like, I don't have to tell you. I'm like, oh, nailed it!
Good answer.
Absolutely.
We got a strict no coffee.
Yeah.
It's a morning show.
Yeah. Straight to Red Bull.
We're quite affiliated.
Oh, sorry, Luke, Jake.
Jake. Oh, you're all good. I hadn't seen you in quite some time. Here we go.
.624 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. We're going to talk no-fly zones with Luke Mixon in our next segment. Got a lot of ground to cover in this segment as well. Gas prices, namely. Before we get to those gas prices, our top story of the day that I don't think we're going to get too far from. Governor John Bel Edwards vetoes proposed congressional district map. Announces other action on the newly drawn district maps as well. The quote from the governor's press release. Today, after careful consideration, review, discussion with legislators, and consultation with voting rights experts, I have vetoed the proposed congressional map drawn by Louisiana's legislature because it does not include a second majority African-American district. Despite black voters making up almost a third of Louisianans per the latest U.S. Census data, this map is simply not fair to the people of Louisiana and does not meet the standards set forth in the Federal Voting Rights Act. The legislature should immediately begin the work of drawing a map that ensures black voices can be properly heard in the voting booth. It can be done, and it should be done. Now, we dove into the redistricting session pretty heavy, maybe a little too heavy. Where do we go from here? What's next? Session starts, next week? Monday, if I'm not mistaken. Today's Thursday. They're not going to get back together and redraw these maps before then. So, how do you work this? Do you do it at the same time? Is it like concurrent? Or do we wait till the end of the regular session, then go back and redraw the maps? Or, third possibility here, instead of everybody coming to town Monday, come to town tomorrow and override the veto. Come to town tomorrow, override the veto, boom, it's going to go straight to the courts. While you're waiting on the courts, you have your regular session, and then things map out after that. I mean, honestly, if they really wanted to jam things up, put it off till after the regular session, then override the veto, then let it go to the courts, and it's going to be in the hands of the courts at about the same time that we're going back to the polls this fall. How about that? We'll talk more about this a little bit later on in the show. Also, and I need your, I knew this was going to go this route, and I hesitated to do it. But there's no way I couldn't talk about it. I want your comments if you are within Baton Rouge. If you're outside of Baton Rouge, I don't know if it affected you. But if you're in Baton Rouge, I live in Sherwood. Sherwood's a pretty big subdivision, but turned on the water last night, came out brown. It was gross. Didn't smell bad. It didn't smell at all. Didn't taste bad. It was just brown. Then brown. I didn't taste it while it was like super brown, but later on in the night it was like a little more, had a yellowish hue. Did you have brown water last night? I knew, Jake. As soon as I threw that out there, all the comments were either going to be about whiskey or poop. You just know. You just know.
You just know your audience.
I mean, you know, I ask myself, what juvenile sophomore joke would I make? And that's exactly what I would do.
There were one or two answers, and you inadvertently made both of them.
Uh-huh. Yep.
There you go.
Little brown water last night.
Love that.
Yep. All right, we're going to talk gas prices. Setting record highs on basically a daily basis. You're going to hear about this in our news coming up in just a few minutes. A lot of drivers are considering making the switch to hybrid or fully electric vehicles. There's problems with that we'll get into in a minute. Tyler Herman, co-coordinator at Louisiana Clean Fuels, says the answer isn't exactly that simple.
For a lot of people, it's a totally viable option today in Louisiana. For some people, it's not going to be for a few years until the infrastructure catches up.
There are issues that we'll dive into. I want to make sure I get to all the cuts with this one, though. Herman says one of the major advantages of electric cars is that filling up the tank takes place at home, and your typical daily drive should be well within your vehicle's limits.
You can easily get 70, 80 miles of range of charging overnight with a regular wall outlet. And most people don't drive that every day. So the public infrastructure isn't quite as important.
Now, overall, the market's getting better for drivers of EVs, electric vehicles. More than 16 million now on the road worldwide. Sales in the U.S. have doubled in the past year. Louisiana, according to Herman, is ramping up the installation of charging stations around the state, which should spur even more converts to charge up rather than gas up.
We have tripled the number of chargers over the last couple of years. And with the infrastructure bill, there's going to be around $73 million of charging coming down the line in the next 3 years, or 5 years, rather. It's coming really quickly.
It's a weird spot, though, because the government's putting in charging stations. Can you imagine if the government had done that with gas? Where would we be if you didn't have to pay when you pulled it to the pump, and it was just kind of absorbed into everything, which I assume is what's going to happen with the EVs? If you didn't have to pay when you pulled up to the pump, how different would that be? Anyway, there's a number of problems with trying to broaden out the purchasing of electronic vehicles right now, one of which is supply chain issues. I don't know if you heard in, was it America in the Morning, the show that comes on just before this one? There's all kinds of supply chain issues. Have you driven past a car lot lately? They're starting to fill back up slowly, but take all of those and make them just EVs, and you've got that much less to choose from. It's going to be a slow rebuild, and it's going to be even harder to get to that rebuild because we got to blow out all of our savings or anything we would put towards an electronic vehicle. Got to blow that out on gas prices, higher groceries, all over inflation. Everything's combining to make this a tougher and slower road to travel. All right, quick break. Let's talk no-fly zones next. Good morning, Christy. Welcome in, boo. And who else is in? Eric, Clint, Byron. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everybody else who's in this morning. Oh, man. Yeah, please. Let's get this raised up here. No, you're all good.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the only do is miss it. Electronics.
Oh, believe me, the best thing you could do is pour coffee on that computer. It's a mercy killing.
I was at this morning. Sounds like you're having some. What's coming to Will Wade, Brian?
I don't know. So I'm kind of split on this.
It's taken forever for them to drop allegations.
And the thing is, they dropped the allegations on the 3-year anniversary of his suspension. There's nothing.
Oh, really? I didn't realize it. It's been that long.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. It was the 2019 SEC tournament that he had to sit out.
That's right. It was Javonte Smart's freshman year, right?
Yeah. Wait. Was that his freshman
Yeah,
year?
it makes sense. Yeah. 'Cause
Yeah.
he was gone. He was there 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And my thought my thought process covers so much ground because, or the range of the spectrum or whatever is like, on the one hand, they wouldn't have moved forward if they didn't have anything.
Sure.
On the other hand, they wouldn't have waited this long if they had something.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting.
Like, I think it's
Probably pretty soft.
yeah.
I think the question would be whether or not Scott Woodward just moves on, right?
So
He'll probably have cause.
if that were the case, why renegotiate his contract to start something else that says if anything else comes down?
Yeah.
That's
I like him. Do I think he probably did a couple things wrong? Probably so.
I think he did exactly what every other school in America does every single day.
That's a good
and
point.
oh, by the way, it's legal now.
It's true. That's a good point. That's a good point. I think
Now,
I love his style. I just I love his coaching.
Yes and no.
No, really.
I do when it comes to everybody else.
Uh-huh.
But like when you walk that road, you run the risk of being the bad boy, and you're never ever going to get a call. Like you wonder why.
Oh, I see what you're
like
saying. I see what you're
LSU,
I see
we
what
get
you're
more fouls than anybody. Ticky tack fouls.
You think the refs
and it's
just-
because he's a prick. Oh, by the way, we're on YouTube, so
I just yeah.
you run the risk of if you want to be the bad boy, you got to be the bad boy.
That's
And
fair.
if you want to be curt, cute, standoffish, whatever,
Yeah.
then that's going to be your persona, and it's
Sure.
gonna it's
That's
it's
fair.
not going to play back in your favor.
Yeah. Refs are human after all.
Yes, barely.
Actually, I'm ashamed I've not made one basketball game this year because I've been doing this so much, and I'm ashamed of that.
How's the campaign trail going?
It's going well, man. It's going well. I'm excited about it. Working hard, and my wife's still with me, so that's good.
That's good. The well, your competition's kicking over hornets' nests every time you can.
Which one?
Gary.
Oh, yeah. I've heard of this guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been interesting.
Once I get y'all in, I'm gonna be nice to just grab a water bottle.
Yeah. No worries.
Does he go on your show?
Used to.
James.
So I've texted him, I don't know, half a dozen times in the last 2 months or whatever. I haven't had him on since he announced.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten a call back yet, and quite honestly,
That's
not well. Strategically, if I'm him, I have no reason to call me back right now. Hey, from a strategic standpoint, the way he's trying to do this,
Yeah.
he needs to accumulate a ton of money from outside.
You know,
So he needs to be in New York and L.A. He needs to be setting things ablaze, pun intended. It's like outside looking in, it appears that your approach is much more a hands-on grassroots approach. Shaking hands, kissing babies, old school. Hi, I'm Luke. Here's why you should vote for me.
yeah.
Right.
Very, very traditional, very serious.
He's going to try and out John Kennedy. Yes, like I said, we're still on YouTube. Yeah, if I'm Gary, I don't call me back until about mid-July.
Well, I really appreciate you having me on.
Oh, of course, always.
Been doing lots of different radio shows, but I listen to your show every Monday, Wednesday, Friday because I carpool to Mercy, so as soon as they turn their music off, I turn you on,
Nice.
and I really I enjoy your commentary.
Thank you.
You guys do it fair.
We try to.
I think you present both sides pretty well.
Yeah, I know that because I get hate from both sides. So.
They all hate you. Yeah. Do I put these on, Brian?
You can. It's 637 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. I don't know how to approach this next topic gently, so I'm just going to toss this question out. Who bombs the maternity hospital? Let's talk no-fly zones in Ukraine. Joining us now is Luke Mixon. Now, Luke's running for Senate, but that's not why he's here today. He's here today because he's a pilot. He knows a thing or two about this. So, good morning, sir. Welcome back.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No, glad to have you on here. I hate the reason we're talking about this, but I'm glad to have you on to talk a little bit about what goes into a no-fly zone, how does it get established, and how easy is it to violate and what happens when it does. So let's start with the basics. How do you establish a no-fly zone?
Yeah, great question. So just a little background about myself. I was an F-18 pilot for 20 years. I have over 3,000 hours in the Hornet, and most of my career was spent flying F-18s off of aircraft carriers in support of our operations in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Syria. I retired a couple years ago, and as you mentioned, I'm now running for the United States Senate. But as far as no-fly zones are concerned, I graduated from Top Gun in 2008. And when you graduate, you're assigned a topic to instruct, both in the classroom and also, tactically in the airplane. And my topic was fighter missions, and part of that was defensive counter-air, which in layman's terms is a no-fly zone. Mm-hmm. So there are two types of ways of doing it. We have like area defenses and point defenses. Ukraine would be called an area defense. It is a massive piece of land to defend, and that cannot be done easily. That requires dozens, if not hundreds, of fighter jets. That requires tanker support. That requires command and control aircraft to accommodate this. Additionally, Russia is not Afghanistan. It is not Iraq. As Americans, we've got used to the idea that we can fly in these permissive fly zones with no threat, and that's true. In Iraq and Afghanistan, we did that for 20 years without a serious threat. That is not Russia. They have their S-300, S-400 surface-to-air missiles. They have advanced air-to-air capabilities in form of their flanker series, which are the Su-27, Su-30, Su-35. In order to establish a no-fly zone, that requires dominating that airspace, and this is very clear. That requires targeting surface-to-air and air-to-air threats in order to establish air superiority. That would very quickly lead to the escalation of war, and I fear the catastrophe that would result from that. So in order to establish a no-fly zone, we would be declaring war, and at this point I'm in strict opposition to doing that.
The phrasing you're using here is we would be declaring war. That feels like it's backwards. It sounds like it's backwards. We would be defending, not declare. Like it just, and I know I might be getting into the breaking down minutia, but if you say don't fly here and somebody flies here and we shoot you down, we're not the aggressor. But from Russia's standpoint, does that matter?
Yeah, I agree with that. That's certainly a valid point. But you're right. Then what? And for so long, we've gotten into wars in Iraq and Afghanistan and failed to answer, and then what? And look, I've been on the pointy end of our foreign policy for a long time. I completed 4 deployments in Iraq and Afghanistan, and over time, it was very clear that there was no exit strategy. So then what? We shoot down a Russian flanker. Now what?
Right.
One of our pilots is shot down. Then what? And the then what is terrifying. And another thing to remember is that when we talk about no-fly zones, I think we often throw that term out there very cavalierly, very easily, like, oh, these are just airplanes out there over foreign airspace. Look, they volunteer, but those are America's sons and daughters. Those are moms and dads. Those are brothers and sisters. Those are a lot of my friends. And we're putting, anytime we talk about war, I think sometimes we like to picture it as being easy or being convenient or being something that can be done pretty. It cannot. Anytime we talk about conflict, it will always involve putting America's sons and daughters in harm's way. And we must treat that seriously. I think for too long, we have not treated that seriously. It's a scary position to put our troops in, and I oppose it right now.
So, would that be up to us, or would that be a NATO thing?
As far as
Declaring a no-fly zone.
Yeah, I mean, look, the United States, we could certainly do that if we decided to, but I think we've done a good job of partnering with our NATO allies, and I believe our economic sanctions are working. And look, quite frankly, our foreign policy for so long has been strictly dependent on our military strength, and that is not the only tool at our disposal. We have diplomacy, we have information, intelligence, we have economic sanctions, and I believe the economic sanctions are working. I believe this administration has actually done a good job of getting our NATO allies to work together. The ruble is crumbling. I think yesterday, and you can back me up on what it is today, but I think it was 37 rubles to the dollar. Their economy is falling apart. It is unsustainable. And as President Biden issued the sanction against foreign oil, against Russian oil, I believe that's going to further cripple their economy. And ultimately, I am hopeful that will bring an end to this conflict.
As far as the economic sanctions are concerned, yes, we live in a microwave society where we expect everything to take effect immediately. They can hold out for a little while. We're going to see the ruble probably get worse. The issue with the holding out for a little while is every day that passes that they're able to hold out is another day that they're able to draw in interest from another party. Like, I don't know, let's say China, to come in, bail them out. And look at this, China just bought Russia. I mean, allowing for that possibility. But let's stick with the no-fly zones because our time is limited. There is an assumption by it feels like everyone that this is somehow our job. Not to go all the way back to pre-World War II, some kind of isolationist theory, but is this our job?
I think it has to be very calculated. But yes, I think what you're seeing right now by President Zelensky is heroic. I believe he is the face of democracy.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
He is.
He's a dude.
He's a dude. I'm as glued to the TV as anyone else. As someone told me recently, if you don't think your wife has a small crush on President Zelensky, you're wrong. And I'm like, anyway. But he is the face of democracy. But I also think America, and I always say this, I love this country. We are this great nation that we stand for freedom and justice and equality, and we do that. We must spread that abroad. And we have to be very calculated in where we choose to do that. And I believe right now we should supply the Ukrainians with the arms they need to protect themselves. I do oppose us getting direct conflict because I think that's only going to make things worse. I think that's going to lead to an escalation and make things worse for everyone, to include the Ukrainians. So we can continue to supply them, continue to lead NATO in the economic sanctions, and bring it into this awful conflict. And let's not miss. And you said this at the beginning. You know, a lot of times I hear Americans blaming each other. Oh, we should have done it that way. We should have done it this way. Look, the problem here is there's a murderous tyrant. In the form of Vladimir Putin. It's his fault and his fault only. And I think as Americans right now, we need to unite around our administration, unite around our president, and continue to fight Russia economically and bring it into this conflict.
Oh, no, 100%. As far as our enemy is outside right now. On a normal day, yeah, we spat with each other all day long. But as of right now, and you mentioned it's our brothers and sisters, sons and daughters that are going to be sent to war. There is every Russian pilot right now believes that they're going to be that sacrificial lamb. As soon as there's a no-fly zone, Vladimir Putin's going to send somebody in just to get shot down, just to escalate this. You hit me first so that we can start throwing. I mean, there's no way that's not on everybody's mind. Like, is it going to be me? Am I going to lose this lottery?
Absolutely. And, there's having spent a lot of time on aircraft carriers, there's probably a lot of I know that if I were out there right now, there's probably a lot of American pilots who are excited about the idea of potentially, facing a worthy adversary, but just not the right time right now. And hope these economic sanctions work out for us. I'm confident they will.
Me too. If China hasn't gotten in yet, I don't know what's holding them back. It feels like this would be. 2 weeks ago, everybody said this was a no-brainer, and yet it hasn't happened. Like 2 weeks ago, we said, Taiwan's next, and then boom, and it hasn't happened. In the meanwhile, I really appreciate the insight. I really appreciate the information. He is Luke Mixon, Top Gun graduate. I don't get to say that to many of my guests. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a great honor of mine. I always say, as a young man, I had 3 goals. I wanted to go to the Naval Academy. I wanted to be a fighter pilot, and I wanted to go to Top Gun. I was very fortunate to accomplish all those, and now I'm running for the United States Senate because I want to continue to serve our nation. I want to continue to serve our state, and I'm confident I could do a better job than those that represent us now.
He is Luke Mixon. I always appreciate the time, sir. And I'll make sure Jake plays you in with Kenny Loggins next time, just to, be on the nose. All right, we got a break. We got Your Money Now. Franklin Foyle's talking to us next. What's next when it comes to the congressional maps? All right, thank you.
Hope you don't mind me throwing in.
No, absolutely. You came all the way downtown, of course.
I live right there, actually. The first piece of legislation we're going to pass is I live in River Bend, so I got to cross the railroad track in order to get to you.
You live in Riverbend. We talked about this.
My son's in the special needs program there.
That's right.
We have to get these trains to stop blocking every intersection between River Road and Nickel. They just stop right there. And the thing is, so I get to the intersection right here on Government, not on Government, but on that pastime. There's a train park.
Yeah.
So I got to go off.
So the North Boulevard has the overpass.
Yep,
So
that's right.
it makes the
Yep,
whole thing
right,
obsolete.
right.
But nobody uses it. I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people use it and now that they've done the Government Street Road diet, you've got that raised median there.
Yep.
So if you pull up, you can't just turn around anymore. You're stuck.
We used to, and I'll leave you alone, but I used to always go over north in order to get to Mercy because our carpool line came from Florida.
Yep.
But this year I come from Government for my carpool line.
Yeah.
So I have to stay on Government the whole. From River Bend to Mercy in the morning and back. It's about an hour between.
Yeah.
So that's why I get to listen to your show for 30 minutes every morning.
I appreciate
It's good work, Jake. It was a pleasure, man. Thanks so much for having me on. See you, Ron.
Later, Luke. Thanks, man.
All right, man.
Cool.
By the way, so I have a connection to somebody that would be interested in getting out of the news, and I think you'd be interested in having them.
Getting what?
You ever heard of Flower Fest?
If that's is that about weed? Oh.
It's now an annual event. I covered it last year when I was still in school, and it's fascinating. I'll tell you about it after the show.
I think
The person who runs it contacted me and asked if there's any way she can get it on the news again.
I want to say Franz covered that on Go Rouge at some point. Yeah, I'll do it. When is it? Do you know?
I'll tell you about it after the show.
All right.
Full breakdown, and I can connect you to her as well.
Yep.
But it's definitely something I would check out if I were you. She said she would also throw in tickets as well, so like it's involved. But I went there and it's like
Hey, can you pull up YouTube to play for bumper on the way back in?
yes,
Navy's fight song.
Navy's fight song.
Yeah.
Love that the computer doesn't exist. Navy fight song.
Yep. Anchors Away, I think it's called.
This
Yep.
you want me this to be the bumper music?
Yep.
From the beginning?
Yes.
Do you want it on YouTube or no?
Yeah, might as well. I mean, if it mutes us, it mutes us. All right.
You still have your friends, but you can knock out the next hour.
Hey, oh, you know what, Galen? I'm glad you posted this. You say he's a Democrat, right? No thanks. Did you disagree with anything he said? He was on for 11 minutes. Did you disagree with anything in those 11 minutes? If I have any mission, it's going to be to remove parties and start talking ideals and not alignments.
Yeah, parties don't really help anything, in my opinion.
It's
Just divides us. I mean, just talk about an issue, and if you agree on it, you agree on it.
do what?
Well, I mean, if the way parties are now, it's like like just what you just said is like it's a different party. Oh, I don't care anymore.
Right.
It's like, what if we just talked about the actual issue at hand and see if we agree on it?
Right.
Like,
But,
why,
like,
why
every-
throw labels on it just to separate us?
So I have no, and I'm not endorsing any particular candidate. I voted for Kennedy the last time around. I'm friends with Gary, and clearly Luke's a dude, right?
Very nice.
But
guy.
like, he's a man. He's a husband. He's a father. He's a pilot. He like. 6:15 7:52, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. All right, so we had to go anchors away on the way back in. Why? Because we went from one Navy man to the next. State Senator Franklin Foyle joins us now. Senator Foyle, when I made this lineup this morning, I had no idea how deep I was getting in with the Navy here. What's happening, man?
Man, I love that intro, Brian. I think that should be part of your show on a regular basis. It was great.
Hey, absolutely. Anytime. You know the door's always open. A phone line's always open as well when I call you real late at night and say, can I get you on?
No, go ahead to do it. I know you wanted to talk about the vetoes.
Yes, absolutely. So the governor has vetoed, and let's be very clear about this, the congressional map, right? The Bessie map, the Public Service Commission, those are still good to go. Are there other ones that he has taken issue with, like the judicial one?
Well, we did not actually pass the judicial one, so he did not have to take action.
Okay.
But interestingly enough, the state Senate and the state House maps, he did not sign, which means they do come into law. Normally, we'll talk about how he always signs bills or vetoes bills, but in this case, he decided not to sign them, which lets them come into law. And I expect there'll probably be court challenges on most of these maps, whether or not he vetoes them or not. The one he did veto, of course, is the congressional map.
All right, so let's stick with that one because it's going to be a huge sticking point. So he vetoes the congressional map. That means that y'all have to go back to the drawing board. Does that mean all the way back to square one, or how do we do this? And more importantly, when? You guys got to get to work on Monday.
So actually, the way it'll work, it'll be like any other veto of a bill. So it will come to us once we're in session to act on the veto, and we will have an opportunity to debate the veto and vote to override the veto. Now, granted, that's a steep hill to climb because it requires a 2/3 vote of both the Senate and the House. Now, in the Senate, we have 27 Republicans who did vote for this map, so I think that there's a good chance it could be overridden on the Senate side. The House side, it's a lot closer on the vote, so we'll have to see.
If the veto cannot be overridden, then what?
Then we'll have to start over. We will have to start over with a new bill during the regular session, and we'll go through the same process. And, once again, I don't know what the final product would be, if it would be much different. I thought the congressional maps we drew made good sense. They were relatively compact. We did not lose a congressional seat, so we were able to basically use the seats that were there 10 years ago that were approved by the Justice Department, because back then the Justice Department had the pre-clearance authority over our maps. And we basically took those maps and made adjustments for population. But I thought it was a good proposal. Nevertheless, if we do not override the veto, we're going to have to go back. And then I expect court battles. And you're seeing this all across the country. This is really more about politics, where Democrats want to have more Democratic seats and Republicans would like to see more Republican seats, because it controls who controls Congress.
No, absolutely. And it's a sad reality. I hate that everything falls down on what's the letter behind your name. And it's even more exasperated by the fact that everything seems to come down to race. And we're going to run into a spot where the governor says we have to have 2 majority-minority congressional districts. Well, when you break it down, which district, you're going to have to sacrifice the majority at some point to create that, aren't you?
Well, you are, and I know it's a lot of talk has been about race on the congressional maps, but it's really about trying to elect either Democrats or Republicans. That's what the real battle is. Do you want to make another Democratic seat or not? So that's the real issue in my mind. Mm-hmm. And we did gain African American population by a few percentage points, but that doesn't mean they all live in the same area where the gain came. We elect congressmen and congresswomen from regions, and so that's how you have to draw the maps.
So how do you overcome this? This seems impassable. This seems the governor says you got to have 2, and the maps say otherwise, and what the state legislature says otherwise. Is this a complete deal breaker?
Well, my hope, Brian, is I think there is a chance that we could override the governor's veto in both the Senate and the House. That would, to me, would be the best path forward, because if we do that, we have the existing bill. I still expect it to be challenged in court, but they can go ahead and start that process. And there's another case out of Alabama where it was a similar situation, where actually it was Republican governor, Republican legislature. So it passed, but immediately they went to court. But the Supreme Court said it's too close to the fall election, so we're going to let the fall elections go with that map, and then we'll look, at the issues. So I think the same thing would happen in Louisiana. If we can get this map passed or some map passed, then I think at least for the fall elections, it will stay the same, and then it will be litigated over time.
Okay, that's my next question is time frame for litigation. Because if the veto's overridden, like let's say y'all get together and do that, let's say Monday, like first order of business, right? Veto's overridden. Where does it go? Like how long does that litigation process, how long would that be expected to take?
Well, I think it will probably go to the federal court system, and with start times to try to get a trial date and all that, I mean, it could be a year before it's actually resolved. And that's why I don't think the courts, let's just assume that we're able to keep this proposal or something similar. I don't think the courts will stop the elections from the fall from happening because it's just not enough time to go through the court process. But, by the next cycle in 2024, it will be resolved.
When it comes to a veto override, and this is, I'm kind of lobbying for a veto override here because the only way to make this thing move forward is to get it to the courts quickly. When it comes to a veto override, should legislators be concerned with whether they like the map or not, whether they approve the map the first time or not, or should they be concerned with the expeditiousness of the process?
Well, that's a good question, and I think both of those are factors. I mean, clearly, you shouldn't vote to override the veto if you don't like the map. That's your right, and I think you should. If your district does not like the map, then I get it. But nevertheless, if you might have some minor disagreements on the map, and some of the legislators who voted no said that later. It might have been over a couple of precincts in a parish or something like that. Mm-hmm. Then I think you should vote to override, and let's push it forward to the courts and get the map. You're not going to have everything you like in one map, but I think overall it's a pretty good proposal.
Last one before I get you out of here, and I greatly, greatly appreciate your time this morning. Let's say the veto gets overridden. It goes to the courts. The courts say these maps are not constitutional. Then we've got to go back to redrawing new maps again. What's the likelihood that we see anything different the next time?
Well, that's a good question. And, I mean, the courts could redraw the maps themselves, or they could send it back to the legislature. There's no one way that they happen all different ways. So it's hard to say, but the court would definitely give us guidance if they send it back to us, and we would be smart and well-served to follow the guidance.
He is State Senator Franklin Foyle. We'll keep you on speed dial in the meanwhile, sir, and good luck starting next week with the opening of the session.
Thanks, Brian. Take care.
You too. Appreciate it. Here's CBS News. His election would increase the likelihood that the Dems and their policies remain in control. He seems like a fine man, but Pelosi, Biden, AOC, he is none of those three. Pelosi, Biden, AOC need to lose their stranglehold on our nation. Byron says, no party affiliation, come on in, the voter's fine, and it's not Brown. Exactly. So he's not Pelosi, Biden, AOC, and I don't care. And again, I'm not endorsing anybody, but the person ought to matter. And in fact, I think you addressed this in your next comment. Parties matter in Washington, individuals do not. That's the problem. That's the problem. We need to get back to where the people we represent, it is a representative republic. The people who represent us on every level should be representative of us. I'm not talking about the world we live in. I'm talking about the world, the land of should be. We don't live in should be right now, but this is an area where we can work towards should be. Other than Manchin and Sinema, really? You're already showing me two examples of how to do things based off of ideals and not off letters. Other than Manchin and Sinema, Dems vote as a bloc and have implemented horrendous policies. Sorry, but I will never send a Democrat to D.C. And that's your right, dude. That's all right. Louisiana will have 2 minority districts. I don't know. The thing is, there's no way to chop this up to where... Wait, side note. Let me get completely ADD here. Did you hear the state senator say the courts could redraw the maps? Holy bleeping bleep. Because that would work out so well for us, just like busing did. That would work out so well for us, just like I don't know, East Baton Rouge schools. We're setting ourselves for another DSEG case, aren't we? Yeah, I have to give Bro and Landrew props when they held their seat. They voted against the party's stance on oil. She had a few good speeches on the issue in the past. Yeah, she had some good speechwriters. Hey-o! John Bro's a great example, and I know that day does not exist anymore, but it can again. We can get back to Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. Shit, we got Jimmy Carter in office right now. Jeez. Dude, we need to know. Okay, I haven't gotten the answers I'm looking for on the brown water. There's no way I'm the only one. And everyone, please, okay, on Nextdoor, I'm getting more likes and angry emojis than I'm getting friggin' answers. Ours is brown too. There we go. Don Capola, probably. See, this is that story right there is why I freaking need Adobe Audition on my laptop. I have the audio sitting there ready. I didn't have time when I got in the studio this morning to chop it up because I had to do the damn. Yeah, sorry. I had to do the softball starts tomorrow, and I'm not gonna have time after the show to knock out the billboard, so I needed to knock out LSU softball on Talk 107.3 is brought to you by, you know. Russian Ukraine and the effects in Louisiana. Yes, the courts will redraw if we do not. I said that a month ago. Yeah. It's a dangerous level of power. So, y'all know I haven't been the loudest trumpet for Donald Trump. Trumpet, get it? But if this goes to federal courts and they have to redraw, thank God for Donald Trump. Biden thinks he is Jimmy Carter. And you know what? He probably thinks that's a good thing. Shit, Jimmy Carter's more spry. Nothing. Well, 7:07. Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Got a busy hour this hour. State Treasurer John Schroder going to join us in our next segment. Got a lot to cover with the Treasurer. Going to talk about Russia and Ukraine to be sure. But story WBRZ is going to be on the agenda as well. WBRZ headline, state expected to see hundreds of millions more in revenue as oil prices skyrocket. And oh, by the way, as oil prices skyrocket, the price of everything else goes up. And oh, by the way, when the price of everything else goes up, the tax goes up as well. Because if something costs you $2 today, that tax is taxed at a percentage, right? Well, if that moves up to $2.50, the percentage moves up. The percentage stays the same, but the amount moves up accordingly. Also, there's no way I don't get the Treasurer in here and out of here without talking a little bit about the Unclaimed Property Program and the Main Street Recovery Grant Program, which wrapped up the end of the last fiscal year. This one's kind of under the radar that the Treasurer's been working on that has shown, like, stupid good results. And that's a technical term. Roughly $262 million via 20,751 claims put out there to the public. The Main Street Recovery Grant Program putting money to work, like on Main Street. It's right there in the name. All right, we got top stories. Also, Crimestoppers this hour as well. Sergeant Don Coppola is expected to be by. He's en route, as I understand it. And then we'll close things out with the outside end. Going to get you to top stories and trending in just a second, but I do need to remind you about the folks over at Mathern's. 3-game set with Bethune-Cookman out of the box this weekend. LSU well, I don't know if LSU softball's at home or on the road. I should probably look that up first. But there's plenty going on in and around campus, plenty of reasons to swing by Mathern's, not the least of which is you need your groceries. Mathern's, full-service grocery store, right there across the street from Tiger Stadium. Nicholson Drive, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. They're also downtown on 3rd Street. They also have the Mathern's app. The Mathern's app, y'all, I love this thing because you can, well, a lot of things happened with the beginning of COVID that we wanted to get back away from. One of the ones that we adopted, most of us adopted, and don't want to get away from, is that convenience and saving of time by doing our grocery shopping online and having it brought right out to the car. I mean, yeah, there's the times where you might want to wander up and down the aisles and listen to Pat Benatar piped in over the PA system. But there's also time where your time is valuable. You download the Mathern's app and you're saving your time. Mathern's, downtown on 3rd Street, Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center, right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Time for top stories and trending. Let's roll. Number 5, we're not grabbing from any particular news source. This is kind of crowdsourced news, if you will. Numerous reports of brown water in Baton Rouge last night. I led the show with it, asking for comments, and got nothing but juvenile responses that I'm quite proud of. So via the Nextdoor app, and I'm seeing now that I'm not nearly the only one asking this question, a number of people in Baton Rouge turned on their tap water last night. It came out brown for an extended period of time. Now, as the night wore on, it started to clear up, but even as of this morning, I could tell you in Sherwood Forest, it still had a yellowish hue. No word yet as to the cause of the brown water. It didn't smell bad, and yeah, I was the guinea pig. It didn't taste bad. But nonetheless, as we find out more about Baton Rouge's brown water, we will have it for you. State Senator Cleo Fields pre-filed a bill to abolish the Louisiana State Police Commission. Commission is a 7-member body that was created in 1981. It's got exclusive jurisdiction over state police service. If a trooper is disciplined, the commission has the final say The body is also where those troopers file appeals. Fields asked a series of questions to the commission's director this year, raising doubt about whether the agency is actually still needed. Now, whether it's needed or not, it's going to be a tough path throughout the legislative process because you're putting the abolishment of this committee or this commission in front of the same body that put this commission together in the first place. Gas prices. Oh, it's like the beginning of the pandemic. Remember how COVID numbers were coming at you hot and heavy every day, and every day was a record-breaking day? The average cost of gas in Baton Rouge has eclipsed the record previously set nearly 14 years ago. On Wednesday, AAA reported the average fuel price in the capital area and across Louisiana now higher than it was in 2008. Average cost of regular gas in the Baton Rouge area was at $4.06 per gallon Wednesday. That's up from $2.48 a year ago. Louisiana as a whole also set a new record average Wednesday, up to 403.7. I paid $4.14 a gallon yesterday. A 59-year-old man was arrested Wednesday after police said he was responsible for his mother's death. Royce Brown was booked into jail on second-degree murder charges, Baker police told our news partners at WBRZ. Police said they were called to a home on, I believe it's pronounced Paula Street, where a woman was found lying lifeless on the floor of her bedroom. Through the help of sheriff's deputies, police said they determined the woman died in a physical altercation with her son. Brown was determined to have beaten the 79-year-old woman, police said. One person was shot at the racetrack along Essen Lane Wednesday afternoon shortly before 4 p.m. during a botched robbery. Deputies said the victim suffered non-life-threatening injuries after being shot in the leg. Deputies captured the shooter, Kendrick Johnson, who ran away from the gas station to a nearby hotel. A female, Alexis Mungo, who was with the shooter, was taken into custody at the scene. According to East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, Johnson shot the victim while trying to steal a bag of drugs from the victim while they were smoking in the gas station bathroom. During the struggle, Johnson shot the victim in the foot. Johnson was arrested for armed robbery, attempted first-degree murder, and resisting an officer. Mungo was booked for principal to an armed robbery and principal to attempted first-degree murder. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. As gas prices rise at an unprecedented rate, time is money, and sitting in heavy traffic is not ideal for drivers. The Move BR Light Synchronization Project aims to alleviate that issue by connecting 470 signals to a central management system. Yesterday, they held a press conference with an update. Fred Rayford said, quote, "I believe we can finally get to a point where it can truly be called synchronization. Connectivity, and the most important part to the driver is reliability and consistency." Long and the short of this is they are en route to having our lights synchronized in Baton Rouge, looking like next year before it's going to be all wrapped up. Tomorrow, I believe at 8:15, we should have Fred Rayford on the show to talk about this. Those are your top stories in trending. We are super late for a break. Let's take that break, come back, talk with our state treasurer next. Hit that ab workout yesterday, yo. 20 minutes in the gym. I was like, what am I doing today? What am I doing? Little dumbbell work, little ab workout. It's got to be ab day every day. Kayla says on Nextdoor, ours is brown too, especially the hot water. I wonder if that's a case of your water heater filled up while the brown water was out there. Which means until that's cycled all the way out, you're stuck with it. Oh, on my way. Oh, are we? We're back in right now. As soon as I have the state treasurer on, can you go let Don in? Yeah. 717 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So, there's a war going on halfway around the world that's going to have effects right here in our own backyard, and we should be seeing those effects shortly. Joining us now to talk about that and a slew of other topics, State Treasurer John Schroder. John, good morning. How are you, sir?
Here we go.
There he is.
Technology issue.
Wow.
So early this morning, 7:15, 7:17. That's pretty early.
I mean, you know, we try to get you in the middle of everybody stuck in traffic. You know.
Yeah, I just don't know how much everybody likes to talk about numbers early in the morning, but we'll give it a shot.
Well, you know what though? Numbers mean money. Numbers mean the amount of dollars we have available to us, and the amount of dollars we're allowed to hang on to as well. So let's dive in. Let's dive in. Let's start with Russia and Ukraine. What effects will we see here in Louisiana from a revenue standpoint because of this war?
You know, let me tell you something I have learned in my business career, and as I turn into the world of the 60s now. There's no crystal ball. Nobody really knows what it's going to do. I think we need to be as prudent as we can. I think I may have mentioned this on your show before. I'm the national policy chair for the Treasurers Foundation that I belong to. And we're taking a strong stance to try to divest or not invest into companies and now countries that are detrimental to Louisiana's economy, to our jobs and our economy. Luckily, Ron, not a lot from the Treasury standpoint. We put out a statement yesterday. We sort of completed our research of all our funds, and we don't have much money at all. I think it's 1% of one fund. And you can't go in and trade it anyway right now. I mean, the ruble's not worth anything as we sit here today. So from the Department of Treasury standpoint in Louisiana, not much. Now, you see what our gas prices are, and there's no telling what it's going to do to goods and services and things down the road. I think everybody's sort of holding their breath, hoping this thing doesn't last long.
Yeah. And because the longer it lasts, the more prices are going to go up across the board. Not necessarily because of actual effects, but perceived effects as well. I mean, the perception.
It's all between years.
Yeah, the perception of this is going to cause just as much harm on Wall Street as anything else. It's going to cause just as much harm on the price of oil. But we're in a weird spot where, as the price of oil goes up, the state actually takes in more revenue.
Right.
Where are we at in the accounting of that, and how much can? I know the LSU Center for Energy Studies says we're expecting what the headline said, hundreds of millions more. Is there a way to put a number on that right now, or is that just pure speculation?
It's all speculation. I mean, nobody knows what it's going to be next week. I think most people can bet right now it's going to go up. Yeah. I think we're going to see unprecedented gas prices, which means oil's going up. So we'll see. You'll probably, and look, I'm not the economist. I'm just a banker,
right?
You know, but you'll see an uptick in that area. But Brian, you're going to see a downtick in others. You know, so consumption will be down. People. I had a 35-year-old and a 33-year-old, all with kids, all pretty much fixed incomes at this stage in their life. And you understand what a fixed income is, because those people are on a fixed income. You're on a fixed income, and all of a sudden you're paying $18 for a burger at Superior Grill, where it used to be $10. You know, now you're not going out to eat. You're not traveling as far. You're not going to go on vacation very far. So there's going to be where Louisiana, and this is just my little opinion, where we might get more money in revenue when it comes to goods and services. Now we're going to lose it on the back end where the consumption side is.
Well, first things first, we got to get you off the Superior Burger and over to Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. We'll get you on that Mooyah app and start earning rewards and save a few dollars there. But no, point's well taken, and we're going to start seeing it very soon. Every poll that's out there right now says a majority of people are going to start changing their driving habits, or just not going places as a result of the increase in prices. Every trip to the grocery store is going to be, do I really need that versus do we just want it? The splurging is going to stop for sure. And these trickle-down effects are going to have effects throughout our economy, most of them negative.
Mm-hmm.
So, go ahead.
When you go to the grocery store, it's sticker shock.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't do a lot of grocery shopping. I'm basically commuting and living back and forth between St. Tammany and Baton Rouge. But I went to the grocery store weekend before last. I was floored of what things cost. So, but I'm on the backside of my career, and I don't know how people on a fixed income go from watching some of these prices, what they're doing, because their salaries only going up. So you have to give some place.
No, absolutely. It's got to come from somewhere, and it always starts by coming from cutting, and then that just has the negative detrimental effects on the economy. State Treasurer John Schroder is our guest. Treasurer Schroder, we could probably stay on this topic the whole time, but there's so much to cover. I need to talk with you a little bit about a few of the upcoming legislative initiatives as the session is set to open next week. Before we get to a few of the initiatives, from the Treasurer standpoint, what does your office do prep-wise to get the legislature ready for the task they're about to try to accomplish?
Well, look, all I do is try to push policies that I think are good for the taxpayers of Louisiana and try to sell that to the legislature.
Mm-hmm.
We watch bills being filed to see, just different areas of how it affects Treasury, but ultimately how does it affect the taxpayers of Louisiana. And then we either strongly encourage the legislators on how to tweak their bills. You would think in a lot of cases if it was affecting Treasury, they would come talk to the department. If not the treasurer, the directors who run these programs, who do this 24/7, and some of them who've been doing it for a very long time and are very good at what they do. I said this yesterday in a talk that I work with a bunch of professionals. These aren't just the average get up in the morning and go to work kind of people. These are all professional people who are degreed and trained and very well educated. They know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Now, they're not perfect. They don't have all the answers. But so we work closely with some legislators who want to communicate and work with us, and then we'll work through their legislation. And there's a host of things coming up from cryptocurrency. Would you be surprised if I told you that the only way you can have a meeting over the internet, whether it's Zoom or Google or any of these other processes that are out there, is through an act of an emergency, a declaration right now in Louisiana. So I'm hoping that we put that in the statute that allows us to meet via Zoom on the many, many committees, boards, especially boards and commissions. And that's not just state government, that's local government. So I would like to see them allow for this efficiency, because it saves money, it saves time. Now that gas is what it is, because ultimately the taxpayer pays for that too. Because let's use the bond commission, for example. If the city of Monroe has worked in front of the bond commission, they got to send their lawyers, they got to send their municipal advisors, all of Baton Rouge, not knowing if they're going to have to testify in front of the bond commission or not. Well, it costs time, rooms, food, travel, not to speak of their time. So it's very efficient. And I think when I tell this to people, they're surprised that in Louisiana, you can't do that legally and lawfully.
State Treasurer John Schroder is our guest. And yeah, the cost is actually that it's a very good point, especially right now. And I don't know if a fuel emergency can be declared to force those virtual meetings. But yeah, when the taxpayer is paying $2 and paying reimbursement on gas for $2.48 a gallon versus $4.15 a gallon, that's a pretty huge difference on the bottom line.
No, there's no question. Let me clarify. So you have to have a state of an emergency, like during a pandemic, during a hurricane.
Right.
And during a pandemic, we stayed in a state of emergency for a very long time. We still may even be
I think we are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah. So under that declaration, Brian, we're able to use this technology. But once the declaration goes away, it is no longer legal and lawful for a board or commission in the state of Louisiana to meet virtually online.
Which just seems foolish. If the last 2 years has taught us anything, it should be that there are more efficient ways to do things. We learned some of them out of necessity, and there's nothing that shouldn't keep us from hanging on to some of the good habits we've developed over the last 2 years. When you're talking about some of the initiatives that you're putting in front of you'd like to see the legislature move forward on, I feel like you're burying the lead on this one, though. You're looking at a revolving emergency response fund as well. Speaking of states of emergency and how it always feels like we're in one, what goes into the revolving emergency response fund?
Well, I think everybody knows that we consistently have some type of emergency in Louisiana, whether it be hurricanes that we're responding to, floods, a year ago, the big freeze. And I think everybody recognizes that if we sit around waiting for the federal government to come help us every time we have an ill will, you lose. Now, I think we've learned also that we know what FEMA is going to reimburse you for. Mm-hmm. But oftentimes in an emergency, that first 30, 60, 90 days is crushing, and cash flow is a problem. And I would like to see the state create a revolving loan program. This is not a grant. Brian, let me be very clear. This is not a grant. It's more of a cash flow deal that would allow the affected areas to borrow money from the state on a short-term basis for things that are going to be reimbursed by FEMA. And you can watch these hurricanes like the one that we just had. FEMA reimbursed very quickly. Well, the one that hit Southwest Louisiana a year ago, it took them 12, 13, 14 months to get reimbursed. And it's a cash flow problem. And they're going to the market and paying top dollar for money, whereas any given day, I think we have the cash that we can help. Not all, and I'm not talking about major infrastructure projects. I'm just talking about temporary housing and water and food and debris cleanup and the things that get you back online, fuel generators that affect these small coastal rural areas. Then I think we can do a much better job. So what I'm suggesting is let's find some of this money where we have millions on top of millions of dollars and seed a program like this that will grow over years. It won't be a fix-all today, but if we started today, 20 years from now, you could have a very healthy, thriving program, and you're not so beholden to the federal government every time something happens.
I want to take a deeper dive into this one next time we have you on, but we're just out of time today because there's so much potential with this, in money that's going to sit there, yes, but it's going to sit there needed when it takes mountains you got to move mountains to move the federal government. You can turn quicker on a state level. It's common sense to me. But we are out of time. State Treasurer John Schroder, I always appreciate your time, sir. Thanks for hopping on.
All right. See y'all next time.
Yep. Coming up to CBS News, then our own local news, traffic, and weather. Crimestoppers coming your way right after this. Sergeant Don Coppola joins us next. I've got to take a deep dive into that It's a revolving emergency response fund. Here's the thing: this is not the rainy day fund. The rainy day fund would be for state expenses. This would be, I don't know if it'd be somehow connected to the rainy day fund or a separate entity altogether, but able to distribute on a local level. And honestly, the loans could be repaid to the rainy day fund. That's going to be fun. All right. Morning, Don.
How are you?
Appreciate you, brother. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well.
Hey, don't forget I got promoted to lieutenant.
When did you get promoted to lieutenant?
You talked about it on the air with the chief, you remember?
Son of a gun, I did.
It's no big deal, but just
Oh man, my bad. No, my bad. I did. I gave the chief hell about saying let's not inflate Don's ego over here. Well, he laughed. He laughed.
he was talking good. He was
Oh, he,
wasn't bad enough.
no.
How you been?
I've been
It's
good.
A couple weeks.
It has.
Who's
I've.
been good guests? Tanja,
Oh yeah, Tanj was great.
IK,
Yeah. Who did I care have on that was really good?
has good people, man.
Oh, Susan's. Yeah,
She's on top of it.
yeah. Been in the zone. I remember when I first started, when I first took back over the show. Hey, kill the mics for a sec. So.
Have you, Citizens Academy is going fantastic.
So I've had kids practices every Tuesday.
When does that stop? We have like, okay, 'cause
May.
we have like
Well,
3 weeks.
no, end of April. End of April is when it stops. I've got.
Yeah, well, you may miss this
I
one.
went straight from basketball to t-ball.
Which is good.
It is. It is. But I've been meaning to get over there. Condon was raving about it.
But he had to, I think he was out of town. He missed this last week. But it's really informational.
With the purchase of 4 eligible Bridgestone tires. Visit ShawbillsTire.com to learn more.
Hey, assistant. So what is the DIMCO scholarship program?
DEMCO, your Touchstone Energy Cooperative, awards one-year scholarships for each of 2 consecutive semesters to member students. This happens at the annual membership meeting each May. Students must attend or plan to attend a Louisiana college or university.
Wow, that's great. Can I enter?
For eligibility
Y'all ready for the time change?
When's the deadline?
Sunday.
We're still doing that?
by May 9th.
I don't know why.
State
Why are
legislature.
we?
The state legislature passed something. Shit. Where does that stand? I gotta find out. So no, I'm not, and I'll tell you why. Sunday, Metairie Road, Metairie Road. Actually, we start on Severn in front of Rummel. The Metairie St. Patrick's Day Parade. I'm a member of the committee,
Okay.
so I'll be marching up front, and we go out there to set up the parade route at 6 a.m. Sunday. And when you spring forward, 6 a.m. Sunday is really 5 a.m. Sunday. And I'd be damned. It's we'll go in on Saturday. We'll stay the night Saturday. We'll stay at a hotel that's close to the beginning of the route. Do some Bud's Broiler, and then go out on Sunday morning, and we'll put all the stakes in the ground.
Yeah,
float
yeah,
number
yeah.
1 here, float number 2 here, marching group number 1 here, marching group. And there's over 100 units in this float, in this parade.
Wow.
This parade, Pat Shingleton does a great job with the Wearing the Green parade.
No, he does.
This one's better.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
It's almost like a Spanish town. Size-wise.
Bigger.
Wow, okay.
Yeah. Because
I
you
did
have marching
Spanish
groups,
Town.
Mardi Gras floats, truck parade.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
it's huge.
I did Spanish Town with the Italian-American marchers.
Okay.
And Paul Maneri was the Grand Marshal. Gino was part. Paul and
Gino.
Frank. Not
Oh,
our
McNeely.
Gino's. Not McNeely.
I was gonna say
Gino's
McNeely. He's
restaurant.
claiming Irish now.
Gino's restaurant.
Gotcha.
It's a good group of guys, man. It really is. I should have clarified that. Huh? And you're not diverse because they're like Gino. I'm like, no, Gino's restaurant.
Yes.
Gino.
Okay. Big difference. Underrated steak at Gino's restaurant. The filet.
Is it?
I'd put it up there with anybody in town.
Wow, I'm gonna have to try it.
And I'm not usually for dressing up my steak with anything on it, but they got this crawfish sauce.
Okay.
Yes, it is time for Crime Stoppers on Talk 107.3 FM, and yes, it is time to welcome in Lieutenant Don Coppola. So we got to start with my apologies. Like the San Diego Chargers, like the New Orleans Hornets, it's going to take forever for me to adapt.
It will, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
It's the Los Angeles Chargers, the New Orleans Pelicans. It's like it takes a minute.
It takes a minute, and I understand, and that's okay. I'm okay with that.
Okay. All right. Well.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. I'm glad to be back. You know, the last 2 weeks we had some great guests. Tanja Miles, I Care, of course.
Yeah.
But it's always good to be back in this seat, having these conversations, and putting bad guys out there, and having your listeners contact us to apprehend those guys.
No, absolutely. Catching some bad guys is what we do around here, and we've seen. I don't know if this is it's a great initiative on BRPD's part, but clearance rates at BRPD have always been better than the national. Not always, but have been better than the national average. And from a public perception standpoint, when we see perp walks, when we see arrests made, when we see the actual pictures with the officer in the picture and the bad guy in handcuffs, there is a definite reassurance on our end that the job is getting done, and there's a reassurance on our end that when we call 344 stop, something comes of it.
Absolutely. And to take that one step further, the other 7 parishes that Crimestoppers cover, again, their arrest clearance rates are up there, equal to, if not exceeding, the national average. But being that I'm closer, with BRPD, yes, and you are so true. And these investigators are working so hard, but they can't do it without the community.
Right.
And the community steps in. They contact Crimestoppers. That information is passed on, and arrests are made. Perp walks are being done. People are seeing that, yes, arrests are made, and hopefully telling themselves, I was a part of that.
Exactly. And I don't know the psychology behind it, but there's such a huge difference when you open up, say, BRZ's website or The Advocate or whomever, WFE, whatever. You open up a website, and if you see a picture of a mugshot, you have one impression. If you see a picture with handcuffs, you see a picture of the officer standing right next to him, the perception escalates to, yeah, that actually got done. This isn't like stock photo.
No.
This is something that actually got done. It's crazy how it plays out, and it's clearly working because Crimestoppers is receiving no shortage of calls.
No, and I can tell you, investigators with BRPD are investigating and it's on our Facebook page, a lady who they believe is wanted for stealing a credit card from an elderly woman in a public place, taking that credit card, going to stores around the Mall of Louisiana, and purchasing in excess of $15,000 worth of items on that stolen credit card that was taken from this elderly victim. There's a photo of her on the Facebook page, and we have received a countless number of tips, not only phone calls, but through the P3 Tips app, which we talk about every week on your show, with photographs of individuals who are possibly suspects.
Yeah.
And of course, this information is being passed on to investigators. And again, Brian, I have to say the amount of information that we received is countless.
So there's a picture of the woman on the Crimestoppers page, masked, of course.
Yes.
Yeah, because, these are the times we live in. It makes it tougher on y'all's end, but
it's a little more challenging, but it's not impossible.
So I'm looking at this, and this is just the social media end. This isn't actually calling 344 stop. This is just the social media end. 219 shares on that photograph.
Yes.
Which means the word's getting out.
Right, and look at the likes.
Let's see, 41 comments, and, well, okay, when you say likes, you mean all the emojis.
I mean,
'cause a lot of angry emojis as well. So the word is getting around, and it is multimedia, multifaceted. We'll talk about the P3 app a little bit later.
Yep.
But yeah, this is just one more example of how the word can be spread. And when the phone call comes in 2344-7867, you do remain anonymous. And
100%.
That is how we catch the bad guys. So who are we looking for today?
Today we are looking for Joseph Mitchell Jr. Joseph Mitchell Jr., 24 years old, on charges of attempt first-degree murder, 2 counts, illegal use of a weapon, aggravated criminal damage to property, and possession of a firearm by a convicted person. Investigators believe that Mitchell Jr. had shot into a vehicle with 2 victims in it. One of the occupants of this vehicle was struck by this gunfire. He was actually driven to a local medical facility for treatment. Injuries are non-life-threatening, and it looks as if this victim is going to survive. The other passenger of the vehicle was not struck.
This sounds familiar. How recently did this one happen?
This happened the 1st of February, and this was around the Sherwood Forest area, Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest area.
That's my neck of the woods.
So, not sure if this is retaliatory or unsure. That's what investigators are looking for, answers to this case. But right now, the whereabouts, if you know the whereabouts of Joseph Mitchell Jr., pick up the phone, go to that P3 Tips app, send us some information so investigators can look into it more.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a couple of hot spots around there. What's the name of the street behind Sonny's Barbecue? Mark Ann. Mark Ann comes up all the time. I don't know if this is related to that, or there's an apartment complex where something went down not long ago.
There's several complexes in that area.
One's a little closer to Broadmoor, but there's one that's right next to the Vietnamese restaurant.
I believe it is Mark Ann, that Circle K area. Mark Ann, Lamar G streets. Also looking for DeMarcus Dean. 29 years old, on the charges of theft of a motor vehicle. Investigators believe that Dean had gone to a local auto sales shop. Nothing too big, not your Chevys or Hondas, just a smaller shop. Wanted to test drive a vehicle. The manager allowed him to test drive a vehicle, thinking he was going to purchase this vehicle. Well, he never returned with the vehicle.
Nice. So
he, DeMarcus Dean, wanted on charges of theft of a motor vehicle. And
what kind of vehicle?
It is a now that you're asking me, it's a Buick, 2015 Buick.
A 2015 Buick. I feel like DeMarcus is kind of settled. I mean, nothing against the Buick as a make, but I mean, if you're going to go in for a test drive and leave, I mean, shouldn't you aim a little bit higher? I know, supply chain issues. There might not have been anything available. It might have been an empty car lot minus the Buick.
It may have been. It's Car shopping is a little tough these days.
All right, if you see DeMarcus in a Buick, then you know what you could do? You could pull out your phone and take a picture of the, well, I guess there wouldn't be a license plate, but all the better. Pull out your phone, take a picture of DeMarcus and or this Buick via the P3 app, which is available. It's a free download and is great. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Exactly. And last but not least, Tristan Slay, 25 years old, wanted on charges of illegal possession of stolen things. Investigators believe Slay had seen a unoccupied Chevrolet truck left running. He decides to jump in, takes the truck. The victim sees these actions, contacts authorities. Later, the truck was found. There was a receipt from a metal shop left in the vehicle upon it being recovered with all of Tristan Slay's information.
Oh, wow.
So,
way to put it on a tee, Tristan.
Right, I'm sure
your clock's ticking.
Obviously, he didn't look before he got
right.
in the vehicle. But yeah, Tristan Slay on the charge of legal possession of stolen things. And, of course, content. Look at our website. If there's any fugitives you know, our Facebook page, pick up the phone, reach out to us on the P3 tips.
So, yeah, if you go to the website, you'll see a picture of Tristan, who's got, I don't know, what do you call that? He's got the hair, the fuzz on the chin there. It's not a full goatee. It's just, it's a bad look.
We're going to stick with fuzz on the chin.
Fuzz on the chin, yeah. The picture's available on Crimestoppers' website. Tristan stealing the truck, that's a crime of opportunity.
It is.
But was it DeMarcus, was that? DeMarcus had choices.
He had choices.
He had choices, and he chose poorly.
He did, and maybe he looked like a trustworthy guy for the manager just to give him the keys to take a test drive.
Have you seen car sales lately? It's a
it's
tough business right now. I'd be handing over keys too. I don't blame that car salesman at all. If you got an inkling for a sale right there, it's like
at least go for a ride with him.
Well, yeah. I mean, you can roll with. I might have ended up looking for a kidnapper at that point, though.
Well, we're not going to go that far.
No. 344-STOP is the phone number. 344-STOP is the phone number. And, of course, we love telling you about the P3 app because it is so user-friendly and every bit as anonymous as the phone number. In the meanwhile, Lieutenant Don Coppola.
Thank you, sir.
I almost got it wrong again.
That's okay.
Joins us every single week, and we always appreciate the time. We always appreciate the effort, and we always appreciate the service as well.
Brian, thank you.
My pleasure. We got to take a quick break. We got Your Money Now coming your way in just a second. After Your Money Now, we do it every day. We step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. Just like Crimestoppers has a surrounding area, there are headlines from all around the greater listening area, the greater capital region. We call the segment The Outside In, and we do it next, right here on Talk 107.3 FM. Here's Your Money Now.
Nice.
Oh, yes. The shooting, I remember this. This blew up all over next door. I'm shocked y'all haven't been able to, because everybody on next door was like, I just called 911.
And buddy, all we need to do is because the lineup was done, the victim picked him out of a lineup. So the one was drawn up. We just need to know his whereabouts.
Okay.
So he's been identified, and some of that information may have helped in the identification.
Wait. Did you say the victim identified?
Yeah. From a lineup.
Okay, so that's a huge step.
No, 100%.
Because that is a battle that y'all have been fighting.
But the information had to be gathered prior to putting DeMarcus in a lineup. Not DeMarcus. Joseph in a lineup for him to be able to identify him.
The number of times we've heard the victim won't talk. The victim won't talk.
And there is a lot of that. But more than not, I think these people are stepping up. Now it depends.
Yeah.
On what led up to that. You know, I mean, if they're going to reunite somewhere, or it was just, unfortunately.
Well, that's what the chief talks about.
I feel like I had this coming for whatever reason, then they're not going to talk. Okay, right. But if it's something was bad, went down bad, accidental. I mean, they're not gonna.
Well, so there's the. I had this coming, but there's also the whole. I'm not telling the only thing because I'm going to handle it, and that's what the chief talks about all the time. Is
And that's
today's
another
victim
thing.
is tomorrow's perpetrator.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, buddy, I appreciate you.
No, my pleasure, man. Thanks.
Enjoy. You need something, holla. And if you can get away the next, really, the third Tuesday is the scenario. So we're at headquarters for Taser. We go to the range. They're going to shoot like simunition and then scenarios. So just see what you can do.
For Taser? What do you?
Well, I mean, some people may. I mean, if people want to volunteer to get tased, then they'll fill out paperwork and get tased. Buddy, we had an advocate reporter. You remember Grace Toohey? She's no longer with us.
Yeah, I remember Grace.
Grace and Leah, which Leah's gone as well.
Leah's gone?
Leah's in maybe Baltimore.
Shit, that was quick.
Yeah. Leah was. We worked good together. But she's in Baltimore area. But they did a little scenario. And Grace volunteered to get tased. So she, of course, she laid down. And
I'd have to do it standing up.
took it like a champ, man.
I'd have to. So
we didn't want her to get injured, by falling. I mean, or you could hold her up, but it was just easier to, she lay down on her stomach and took it like a champ.
I've always wondered if that could be a fundraiser. Like celebrity tasing, sort of like take a bunch of local media personalities or whatever.
Well, I think that would be good. I mean, let's entertain it. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Be good.
All right. Later.
Hello. Take care, man.
Morning. How we doing? Greg? Yes, you are. We got 2 more segments in front of yours, but we're good to go. Would having the money prevent the state getting the same amount of federal dollars? I don't know. You got it. Okay. BRPT has rolled off, and I don't miss him. I never took advantage of their services. I know the people over there are great. I just was never really comfortable. Like, I go to Muya. I got my mattress from Baton Rouge Mattress. Like, I've been to Complete Collision. I love if I'm not speaking from experience, I feel awkward. 755 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Thanks again, as always, to Lieutenant Don Coppola. And I need to say that like 1,000 times so I get it through my head. We don't San Diego Chargers him that much. We do Crimestoppers every Thursday. Coming up in our next hour, let's talk about a sales symposium coming up at LSU. Greg Accardo is going to join us at 8:15 for that. And also got some video to, if you're not watching us on YouTube, you should be. It's audio and video. You're not going to be missing out if you're on the radio. But we try to explore the space, utilize the platform. And Insurance Commissioner Jim Donelon is on the recruiting trail as far as bringing new business to Louisiana. We've got a couple of clips for you, if you will, to break down next hour. Also next hour, Jake will have This Day in History. Going to get you to the outside in just a second. Got to remind you about the folks over at Hope Ministries, specifically an event they've got coming up. Business leaders, are you feeling the pinch of Louisiana's workforce crisis? Maybe, probably. I don't know. If you are, there's an answer. Fred Keller, founder and chair of Cascade Engineering, changed how he managed his workforce. He brought his own retention rates up from 34% to 97%. His employees got off welfare, company profits increased. Those two things happened simultaneously. Want to learn how he did it? Hey, I got an answer for you. Fred's going to be in Baton Rouge for the Rise LA Business and Industry Luncheon March 22nd. RiseLA.biz is the website. RiseLA.biz. Learn the strategies that he used and learn how to work with other leaders in the community to make a strategy that's right for your company. RiseLA.biz. We all rise together. All right, time to get outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. We call it the Outside In. Let's roll. Starting off in Lafayette, a federal judge has ordered an Alabama boat captain to serve 160 years in prison for exploiting a girl to make child pornography and to pay the girl more than $200,000. District Judge S. Maurice Hicks Jr. also ordered lifetime supervised release for 46-year-old William Malone of Mobile if he gets out of prison, U.S. Attorney Brandon B. Brown said in a news release Tuesday. The girl, who's also from Mobile, was less than 12 years old when she told her mother in 2020 that Malone had abused her, prosecutors have said. FBI agents examined the girl's phone, found texts asking for pictures and videos of herself, sexually explicit stuff. Malone was captain of a vessel that sailed out of Abbeville, Louisiana. The images were on his phone and laptop that were found in a search of that vessel. That's how it brings it back to Lafayette, where a jury convicted Malone in October of last year on 5 counts of sexual exploitation of children by producing child pornography and 2 related charges. In Livingston Parish, voters will soon be asked to renew a tax established 70 years ago dedicated to funding construction projects for public schools facilities in the parish. The proposition will be available on the March 26th ballot. Bear in mind, this is renewing a tax, not putting in a new one. In West Feliciana Parish, 2 years ago, a jury found that a former Louisiana State Penitentiary guard sexually assaulted an Angola inmate in 2014, ordered him to pay that ex-inmate $750,000. A federal appeals court has now affirmed the verdict and damages, calling the conduct of the former corrections officer Tyler Holiday deplorable. Closing out in New Orleans, a bird did it again. Nearly 10,000 Entergy customers and businesses in the CBD and surrounding area were without power. Why? A bird knocked it out. And this is the second time in a few months that this has happened. That's the Outside In. Quick break for CBS News. This Day in History is next. Boop, 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 boop. Oh, 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 oh. I love that Don doesn't mind that I make jokes about bad things happening. So I'm looking forward to it after the show this morning. Adam Richman going to join me. Which, when I saw this interview opportunity, I jumped at it, mostly because I was happy to hear that he's still alive. He's the Man vs. Food dude. Remember Man vs. Food? Adam would go around the country taking on food challenges at different restaurants. Like, you know how Fat Boy's Pizza's got that 2-foot pizza challenge? Adam would crush that. Ooh.
What's this video about? I'm writing in the post.
Do what? Do what?
What is this video about?
Insurance Commissioner Jim Donald is looking to bring new insurers into the state before hurricane season.
New businesses or businesses?
New insurers. Well played, Ashley. I'm gonna push Mooyah back to that 8:40 segment. That's okay. .806 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Jake producing. Looking forward to got a lot to cover this hour. Sales symposium's coming up at LSU. We're going to talk with Greg Accardo. He's the director of the Professional Sales Institute over there. Also, Insurance Commissioner Jim Donald is looking to increase competition in the state, specifically in the homeowners space, homeowners insurance space. He's out there recruiting, and we've got a little bit of video, audio as well, to break down where his efforts are. If you're not watching us on YouTube, you might want to check us out on YouTube because you're going to get a heck of a lot more of the show, especially when we have the video segments and whatnot. But I want more last night, went and turned on the tap. Brown water came out. No know why. No clue. One person on YouTube says it's likely a broken water main. But where? So I posted up on the Nextdoor app and got numerous responses saying, yeah, mine's brown too. What's up with that? Yeah, mine's brown too. Yeah, I've seen 5 or 6 posts like this where people are reporting brown water. Did it happen to you? Let us know on YouTube. Mornings with Brian Haldane on YouTube. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe. Smash the subscribe button. Meanwhile, as you're doing that, show rolls on. At this time every day, our producer, Jake Barty, joins, fires up the old microphone to bring us this day in history.
Yes, it is time for this day in history. As he had mentioned, I'm Jake Barty. We're kicking things off in 1849. Abraham Lincoln applies for a patent for a device to lift a boat over shoals and obstructions. Fun fact, he's the only U.S. president to file for a patent.
Interesting.
Quite.
That's weird.
Yeah, you'd think more would hop on the bandwagon of,
Yeah?
changing the world.
Yeah?
1862, the U.S. issues first paper money in the form of a 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, 500, and $1,000 notes.
I mean, before that, did they have just the ones?
I guess.
Yeah.
They must have.
Up in the club.
Yes, sir.
Make it rain.
1876, the first telephone call. Alexander Graham Bell. He says, Mr. Watson, come here. I want to see you. To his assistant, Thomas Watson.
That'd be a good person to say that to. Otherwise, it just wouldn't have made sense.
Not in the slightest. 1888, heavyweight boxing.
What did Watson say back to him?
New phone, who dis?
Well done.
1888, heavyweight boxing champ John L. Sullivan draws Charlie Mitchell in 30 rounds.
Yeah.
That's a long one.
It is.
1893, New Mexico State University cancels its first graduation ceremony. Its only graduate, Sam Steele, was robbed and killed the night before.
What?
Yeah. What a bizarre story.
I mean,
horrible for the person
nuts.
involved, but one graduate, and they had to cancel it because the only person that was going to be involved is dead.
That's crazy.
That's really crazy. Well, we're going almost a century forward. 1972, the first black U.S. political convention opens in Gary, Indiana, excuse me. 1978, The Incredible Hulk, starring Bill Bixby as David Banner, premieres on CBS.
Okay.
1997, Buffy the Vampire Slayer, excuse me, I almost butchered that. Created by Joss Whedon and starring Sarah Michelle Gellar, premieres on WB Television Network.
Yeah, Buffy was awesome.
Yeah, I heard it was. 2021, it's very recent. Video gaming platform Roblox goes public on the New York Stock Exchange. It was estimated value $45 billion.
I knew nothing about the Roblox.
Roblox, it's like...
I hear about it all the time
Think
from
of
the kids.
Legos.
Yeah.
And, like, it's a video game. It's definitely centered for kids. Think about, like, I don't know. You could play, like, any variation of a game with Roblox, though. It's weird.
Stuff like that's going to make me old before my time.
True.
Legos are not demanding physically.
To put it into perspective, I didn't play Roblox as a kid, if that's any... Like, that came out when I was well into my teenage years.
Hey, this day in 1995...
What happened?
Michael Jordan retired from the White Sox organization.
Oh, my goodness.
This day in 1995 is basically the closing scene of Space Jam. After helping the Toons defeat the Monstars, Michael Jordan realized his calling was still in basketball. He announced he was leaving the White Sox organization, eventually to return to the Chicago Bulls.
How many times did he retire in his career? Like 4?
3.
Well, like, He retired from the Bulls the first time,
Yeah.
retired from the White Sox,
Yeah.
retired from the Bulls again.
And then the Wizards.
And then he retired from the Wizards.
Yeah, so I guess it would make 4.
Wizards run wasn't as bad
Was it
as
a
everybody
retirement
says.
in between the Bulls and the Wizards, though?
I think it was. 'Cause he came back as an executive or like an owner.
Yeah.
And then he came back to the team, I think, the next season.
Okay. Many, many, many retirements.
Quite.
Yeah.
It's a man of many things.
Hey, this day, a little more serious. This day in 1969, James Earl Ray was sentenced in Memphis, Tennessee to 99 years in prison for the murder of Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, my goodness. Rest in peace to MLK. Let's get to the birthdays. First up, Bad Bunny, baby.
Oh, good Lord.
He is 28 years old. Happy birthday to him. Carrie Underwood's 39.
Yup.
Olivia Wilde turns 38. Chuck Norris, the man of many talents, considering, all of the facts that have been said about him, especially a decade prior. He turns 82.
Oh.
Dr. Disrespect, if you know, you know. He turns
What?
40. You know who he is?
Yes, I know who Dr. Disrespect is.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't know gaming from anything, but I know who Dr. Disrespect is.
I appreciate
the Gillette
that.
remix.
Yes. Look at that. We're creating
the Gillette
bridges.
remix is baller. It's so good. Yeah, he's got the mullet, the stash, the glasses.
It's
He's
amazing.
awesome.
I used to not be about it, but I don't know. Something about him lately, it's just, he's so funny.
Yep.
Zach Levine turns 27.
Mm-hmm.
John Hamm is 51.
You're legitimately surprised that I know who that is.
Yes, of course I'm surprised. Come on. Justin Herbert's 24.
Yeah.
Kwame Brown is 40. And Samuel Eto'o turns 41. You got anything for me?
I do. Bobby Petrino, born on this day in 1961. Fox Sports sideline reporter Pam Oliver, born on the very same day. Bobby Petrino and Pam Oliver, born on the exact same day in the exact same year. You tell me who's living right. Pam. Pam is the answer to that question. Rod Woodson, born on this day in 1965. NASCAR driver Matt Kenseth in 1972. And happy 50th birthday to the man behind the best Justin Timberlake album ever. That would be Timbaland.
Nice. Happy birthday to all those mentioned. I have only one death to talk about. Harriet Tubman passed on this day in 1913. May she still rest in peace. You got any deaths for me before I get to the holidays?
Nope.
Then let's get right down to it. First up, Popcorn Lovers Day. You like some popcorn?
I actually do.
What kind?
Regular popcorn, movie butter is awesome. And caramel corn.
Can't complain about those choices. National Ranch Day. I don't know.
As in like owning a ranch or like
No,
ranch
like the
dressing?
dressing. Yeah, that kind of got ruined for me in Texas. I won't get into it. Mario Day.
It is Mario Day.
I don't know why it's Mario Day.
I
if
do.
There's nothing.
I do.
What happened? Why?
Okay. What's today? The actual date?
It is March. I almost said February. It is March 10th.
Okay. Write down the abbreviation for March is MAR.
Oh, my goodness. March 10th.
MAR10.
Oh, my God. That is awesome.
Yeah.
Wow, that just brightened up my day.
It's Mario
Good to
Day.
know. And on that note, the last thing we have, it is International Day of Awesomeness.
See?
That is this day in history.
All right, we're due up for a break. Let's take that break. When we come back, Greg Accardo joins us next.
I was totally prepared for you to be like, Dr. Disrespect, who is that? Or like, why should I care? Like, you know Dr. Disrespect. That's crazy.
More for that. It's not for the gaming stuff as much as the that Gillette thing. Come on in. Yeah, come on in.
He's just flat out entertaining.
Yeah. Welcome aboard. I didn't get a whole lot of talking points, just the link back to the thing. So,
tell me what you want me to fill in. What do you think is important? Well, we can talk about the theme.
What is the theme?
And the focus. The theme is the emerging sales roles and structures in today's digital selling environment, and the technologies that support them.
Oh. Okay.
The theme's right here.
That's yeah. I'm on. Yeah, I'm on here.
By the way, we're always on YouTube.
Oh yeah. Yeah. that Jeremy? Yeah, that's got to be Jeremy.
So there will be presenters, speakers, who from some national, international companies, some think tank folks.
You're doing state of sales.
I'm gonna do a small presentation on the current state of sales that we find ourselves
Well,
in.
let's start there. That'll
Okay,
that'll
cool.
be
Yeah,
good
we can do that.
conversation.
It's based on some research that we've done. How much time do we have?
Within the segment?
No, yeah.
About 12 minutes.
Okay, so this is always good for me because I do a podcast, so I need tips from pros.
Podcasting is awesome.
We do a podcast called Talking Sales. And, I'll probably record another segment next week.
Okay. Yeah. The constraints of the radio clock make most radio people envious of podcasts.
Cut you off.
This segment will be over at 8:31, whether we like it or not, because CBS News hits. So having the greatest conversation and just boom.
Do I need these?
You don't have to. They're helpful, but you don't have to. Okay. 818 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So Patty G had to bail today. He had some personal business to tend to, which means that in our 6 o'clock hour, we did not have our normal business segment. Not to worry. We're picking it up and talking business right here. Time to welcome in from LSU the director of the Professional Sales Institute, Greg Accardo. Greg, welcome. How are you, man?
I'm great. Thank you, Brian, for having me.
No, glad to have you on. Glad to be talking about this. We're a little more than a month away. What, about a month and a week? A little more than a week from the LSU Sales Symposium. We're going to dive into what folks can expect if they go, who should be going, who should be paying attention to this, and a whole lot more. But I want to start, before we get into the theme of this thing, with your role within it, because I think there's a lot of discussion to be had right here. As the symposium kicks off, you're part of the Welcome and State of Sales address. So, what's the state of sales, Greg?
So that's a great question. I'm glad you asked. Obviously, because of COVID, the disruption we've all gone through the last 2 years, and the business environment has changed a lot. From an academic standpoint, we look at opportunities to gather data and do some research, and we all know that nothing has the same, and things have changed forever. Some things may go back to normal, but we decided to have our students involved in this research, where they would interview sales executives and sales managers and company owners to ask them some questions that we want to find out. What is your world like today? How is the sales world affecting your business? How is it affecting your sales reps achieving quota? How about hiring salespeople? And we want to get their opinion and see what's going on. So we gathered research over about a year and a half.
Okay.
During the pandemic. And that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in the state of sales. It's what these executives and leaders and directors are telling us.
Right.
We capture the data, and we're going to give some topics that came up that are important that everyone needs to be aware of. Some of that is going to bleed into the theme of the symposium itself.
Which is?
It's about the emerging new roles in sales that we're seeing, the structures that support those roles. Some structures have changed because of the pandemic, and the technologies that support them. Some advanced sales technologies that have kind of blossomed and emerged.
The technologies that support them are probably the most fascinating part about this, because so this is, as a radio medium, we're just an outlet for communication, but there's a sales aspect to what we do here. And anybody who does any level of marketing hates a loop that's not closed. The technologies we're looking at right now come as close to closing that loop as we've ever seen.
Yes.
And there are so many different outlets out there. I'm a big fan of HubSpot. There are so many different outlets out there that allow people to, and this is where it's going to get fun, serve their customer better. Not about closing sales, about serving customers better. Because I'll give you a perfect example. I hop on LinkedIn and I'll see I got like 2 or 3 new people want to add me to their network. I click yes, and within moments I've got a stock email that says, I work in web design, digital marketing, SEO. I offer these rates, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, does that work for anybody ever? Like, why are you still pushing an email cold call, which is basically spam, when there's so much more out there?
That's all true. It's all true. And look, we see sales professionals that get stuck in a rut, and they latch on to some of these technologies and they use them as like a security blanket. But here's the thing that's really critical. Business people today, customers, prospects, or leads, whatever you want to call them, they're more educated than ever. So there's very little informing and education you're going to do about your product. There comes a point where it comes down to people buying from people, and personalities matter. So now we're seeing the emergence of artificial intelligence that's coming into the sales process. And it's giving the sales rep, that frontline salesperson, another tool to be more effective in that initial first approach. So instead of getting that blanket, just, cure-all email that nobody's going to read it.
Right.
Now we're going to try something different, because there are now technology platforms that allow you to send either a personalized video directly to that person in their inbox. The team from BombBomb, if you haven't heard of BombBomb, really neat group of people, great platform. They're going to be the keynote speakers.
Okay.
They're going to talk about some of the effectiveness that they've seen by leveraging video, short video clips that go directly to the prospect, to introduce yourself, to let them see your voice, see your face. I'm sorry, not see your voice, hear your voice, but make it more personable.
Right.
Then you bring in this element of artificial intelligence that is really mind-blowing. We've got a couple of presenters coming to the symposium, and I've seen these two people present at a similar conference at UT Dallas back in the fall, and blew me away. I mean, my jaw was on the floor. I was like, this is really unbelievable, that what they've been able to build and do with a platform that goes in and just and develops someone's personality analysis before you make the first call.
Okay, what goes into that?
So I'll go ahead and tell you in the audience now, but the platform is called XIQ. It was developed by a really intelligent guy. His name Usman Sheikh. Usman is a big thinker. He's developed this new platform. He's in Silicon Valley. Came from SAP. He was in one of the VP of sales worldwide for SAP. He left the company, started this new venture, and really amazing. I mean, this is futuristic. Some of the things they're able to do by using an app-based platform where I can look up Brian Haldane, and before I even make a call to Brian Haldane, it's going to tell me in a matter of seconds how I should make that call. What is your personality like? How can I build trust with you? So that I don't go and do these stupid things that just turn off customers with these antiquated methods of trying to reach prospects. And salespeople, some are still doing that today.
Yeah.
It's a new world. You got a new type of customer today, an educated, informed, well-advanced customer.
Yes.
Probably knows more about your product than you do. So it comes down to, why should they do business with you versus your competitor? And sometimes it comes down to trust and personalities.
Amazing that we could be this close to being right back to it's all relationships. It's not the number of people who still sell based off of what I have to sell, not what you are in need of. But I don't want to get too far away from what we're talking about with this XIQ thing. From a consumer standpoint, what's the take here? Is it more this is scary Big Brother stuff, or this is just good customer service? And the example I always use, Greg, is when they used to have the neighborhood watering hole. You'd go to the bar, or you'd go to Cheers, and you'd sit down, and Sam Malone would come over and give you the usual. You go to a bar, and you get the usual. You go to a restaurant, you get your usual. That's considered good customer service. Somebody hits you up with artificial intelligence that gives you your usual, and all of a sudden we get scared.
Yeah, and that's a common response, and there is an element to that where we can have the big brother, but I think it's maybe a little bit of a false flag. I look at it more as if there are technologies and tools out there that, as a sales director, and I have a team of salespeople who answer to me, what can I provide them that makes them more effective, where they can build that level of trust with our customers so that they're not thinking about moving and doing business with competitor A or competitor B. Okay? It's the trust that matters. You got to build that trust. You have to nurture it and maintain it. If there's a platform out there and our technology that gives you an insight and another capability that allows that trust factor to rise, I'm all for it.
How much of trust can be built artificially, and how much has to come from an actual relationship?
Well, we'll back up a little bit. So the tool itself gives you some insights, and not to give you too much on this, because I think the symposium is going to cover a lot. But what the tool does is look at someone's social media feeds, looks at their kind of their digital footprints, and gives a probability analysis of this person's personality based on a DISC profile. They're either a dominant, they're an influencer, or they're a coaching type. So you can take that analysis and use it to maybe better build a plan or an approach that better suits that person. It's more personal, it's more specific to them versus just a blanket approach for everybody. And everybody's personality is different.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I want to make sure we got 2.5 minutes left. God, I knew this was going to fly by. Very, very quickly, how do you walk that line between good recon and cyber stalking?
So, hey, look, my students ask me this all the time, and because some of this stuff even blows their mind. These are kids coming out of college, and they're really smart. And we show them some of these new technologies. Some of they're a little intimidated, but I think if you come to the symposium and you hear some of these presentations on how teams have implemented these new advances and how they become more effective, I think you'll see the light. And I think that the concern is going to be there, but I think that'll be alleviated a little bit, because then you'll see, oh, this is going to make me more effective.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be using the same approach for the next 10 prospects I go see. I'm going to individualize each approach I make based on that person's personality.
The symposium's coming up April 22nd. It runs all day, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Going to be at the LSU Business Education Complex on South Quad Drive. LSUfoundation.org/sales symposium is where you go to register. Who needs to be at this?
Anyone who is directing salespeople, managing salespeople, coaching salespeople, business owners, and I would even say frontline salespeople.
Yeah.
The networking aspect of this and just meeting some of these thought leaders. There'll be some of these thought leaders are bringing their books to give out for free.
Oh, wow.
People to have them. They want to share this knowledge. There'll be an academic component of the symposium. There'll be some research presented on these new emerging sales roles like customer success managers, these hybrid roles of not only managing accounts but also growing accounts. There'll be some research presented on that. A professor from the University of Alabama is going to team up with one of our professors. They're working on a paper together. Pretty groundbreaking stuff. So it'll be great.
Very cool stuff. It's coming up April 22nd. LSUfoundation.org/sales symposium is where you go to register. Greg Accardo, thank you so much for the time this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So much more conversation to be had, but we are just straight up out of time. Going to take a quick break, check news, check traffic, check weather. When we come back, let's talk homeowners insurance. I know we're nowhere near hurricane season yet. Say that now, but are we? June 1 coming up. Insurance Commissioner Jim Donovan's doing some recruiting. We've got audio and video next. Oh, so thank you. This is one where people hear talk radio and they assume politics. I love talking business.
See, XIQ.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull up Brian Haldane.
Okay.
I should have did this before.
Oh, you know what? This could be its own damn segment.
Let's see. It's BRAIN, right?
IAN. BRAIN would be brain, which is
HALD
ANE.
So let's see what it says about Brian Haldane. So what this is doing is going out, is pulling your social media feeds and your footprints, right, and this. Right here, Brian Haldane Morning Show.
There's more than one Brian Haldane.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Brian Haldane's. So this is your XIQ report on Brian Haldane.
DI. Okay. More on personal intuition than rules and norms. No shit.
So this is kind of the first page. So what it tells me is the disk analysis on where you fall out. Now it gives me an 80% probability that this is correct, based on the back end and the systems developing this. So I can go here. I want to get more. So now if you scroll down, look at all the tips and insights it's giving me on how to build trust with you, how to sell to you. So the founder and developer of this is going to be at the symposium speaking. But Brian, they've gone further than that. What they've done, they've used this
Dude,
tool.
this is sick.
They've used this tool to analyze an entire company. If you've got a whole floor of decision makers, say you got 5 people have to make a big business decision that you were selling to the company, it tells you, it will tell you based on each one of those people's personality, which one you should go to first. Who's going to be the influencer? Don't go to the person who's going to be a blocker. So it really is jaw dropping when you see what they've done with this. But
This
again,
is crazy awesome, dude.
yeah, but it goes back to the point where I can use this in the field, and before I knock on the door here at Guarantee, and I have a meeting with you, I can brush up and see a little bit about your personality before I go in.
That is not at all where I expected that to go. Now, but that's cultivated off of my use of social media.
So the logarithm, the back end of this, is able to go out into the internet, and once I choose you, and it looks at all your social channels, right? And it's just a matter of what, seconds? It compiles a report.
I wonder, like, because being a member of the media, I'm very careful about my use of social media. I have to be frequent and often and ever present, but
But it says you're a creator, and you're a little bit on the D side. You're dominant, but you're a creator.
yeah.
Okay. They said here you're captivating, inventive, outgoing, energetic, enterprising. So it says, tells you right here, to share a broad view, but stay open to new ideas.
Right. Everything
Respond
that
to
I
your
read. I mean,
statements with interest.
I scanned it quickly. Well, that be flattering is what that says.
Look, building trust is give high level concepts instead of details. Express fresh ideas. Brian's gonna like fresh ideas.
Yeah.
Express your willingness to take chances, and communicate in a straightforward, assertive manner. Quick to wrap up meetings. Get in and out. Don't sit there and lag.
That's awesome.
But this is they're going to talk about symposium.
This is my second stint here at Guarantee. I had a. Oh, go ahead.
You're coming.
I think so.
Yeah, you're supposed to have a ticket.
I thought I was supposed to have 2 because I'm bringing
maybe
somebody
2.
from sales, but
Okay, yeah.
I've got to find somebody to cover the back end of my show because it starts at 8 and I don't want to miss any of it.
Bring Flynn Foster.
I'll ask him. I was probably gonna. Yeah, it was probably gonna be somebody from the sales department, but yeah, I'll ask.
Bring some sales.
Yeah. I had a short stint where I worked in digital marketing, so I worked over at the Blink Jar. So I know Jared does a lot of work with
Broussard,
him. I love that man like a
Jared
brother.
comes lectures our classes on HubSpot because we're a HubSpot education partner.
Gotcha. So yeah, he's phenomenal. Love him like a brother. But what amazes me is I've been back in radio for almost 4 years now. God, it's been that long. Been back in for almost 4 years, and the world that has evolved. Like, I couldn't imagine diving back in over there. I'd be so in the weeds, and I do as much reading as I possibly can to try and stay up, and I just can't. Like, it moves so friggin' fast. So
it does. It's trying to keep up with this. I have to go to conferences all year long just to keep up with this, to hear from these researchers and these other thought leaders, because it's a lot. It's like drink from a fire hose.
Yes, that's exactly right.
Especially since COVID, this has ramped up a lot. I was at this conference at UT Dallas back in the fall, and these guys were presenting. Plus, our students have been using XIQ for free for almost 2 years now.
Oh, wow.
Our students get free access to this. Nice. They're doing live sales projects, so we let them use this. We teach them how to use these technologies when they go out and do sales calls for the symposium. They're selling the tickets to this. It's a sales project.
Oh, cool.
So the class has a quota. They have to sell tickets to the symposium. So yeah,
Very
they have to
nice.
sell each team. The
Yeah.
sales team has to sell 4 corporate packages of 10 tickets. That's their quota for the semester.
Very nice.
And to pass the class, they got to hit quota.
Very nice. Well, yeah, I will make this an absolute priority. I'm fascinated. So
And, yeah, it'll be a great day. So yeah, bring anybody you want to bring. I brought up Flynn because I know Flynn. I've met Flynn before.
Okay,
Trying
yeah.
to get some sales students on y'all's team over here, and
we can work in that space for sure. So
thank you so much.
no, thank you. I appreciate you coming in, man.
Look,
Thanks
we'll
a
be
million.
in touch.
Yes, absolutely. Who do I still owe? Muya? Okay. 837, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. That was fascinating. Oh, my goodness. By the way, thanks again to Greg Accardo for stopping on board to talk about the sales symposium coming up at LSU. Just the way, the faster the world spins and the more it all comes back down to relationships is one takeaway. But the level of technology that can be implemented, I get why some people get scared. During the break, and if you were watching on YouTube, you got to see it, Greg had mentioned that XIQ app to talk about building building a whole, I don't know, dossier on somebody before even meeting them to be able to know their likes and dislikes, kind of know where to take the sales after the fact. If you weren't watching on YouTube, you missed it, but it was, he did me, and it was unbelievably accurate and took like 30 seconds. It's crazy. We got a lot of ground still to cover on the show. We've got 2 segments to go. Hey, tease for tomorrow. Haggai Davis will be in for a cup of tech gumbo at 6:35. I can also tell you tomorrow that we have Adam Richmond coming on the show. I'm actually recording this interview after the show today. Adam, you may recall, was the host of Man vs. Food. Man vs. Food was ridiculously bacchanalian. It was a gluttonous show where a man would travel around the country and take on food challenges. You know, you go somewhere and say, remember the Great Outdoors, the old 96er? Yeah, that was Adam's bag. That's what he would do. And he's got a new show coming out now, which, first of all, after eating that much food on certain time limits and eating food that's so fiery hot it would melt your face like you just saw the Ark of the Covenant, Adam's got a new show coming up on the History Channel. It's called Adam Eats the 80s. Want to learn more about it? Well, he'll be on. I want to say that we're going to air that back first thing in the morning tomorrow, so probably the 6:25 segment. Let's talk insurance in just a little bit. Before we do, though, I want to remind you about the folks over at Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. I gotta introduce Treasurer Schroder over to Mooyah, right? I mean, he's plugging the Superior Burger. He has no idea how good a Double Diablo is. He has no idea what a hamburger dog is, although he could learn. It's kind of in the name. Not the hardest thing to figure out. It's a hamburger and a hot dog on the same daggum bun. Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. They've got 2 locations in Baton Rouge. One is on Bluebonnet at Highland. The other is on Seagan, just north of Industrialplex. I tell you all the time about the fantastic burgers, the fantastic ingredients, and everything else that goes into that. Let me take a second right now to remind you about the milkshakes. They are phenomenal. Real ice cream milkshakes. Underrated. Very underrated. Real ice cream milkshakes. The Hershey's chocolate shake is about the simplest thing there, and it is, so chocolatey indulgent. Oreo cookie shake, cookie dough shake. The cookie dough shake, be ready for this. If you get the cookie dough shake, and yes, with my apologies to the folks at Go Slim, I did indulge on a cookie dough shake a couple weeks ago. Chunks of cookie dough amidst the real ice cream. Like chunks of cookie dough that you might as well have a spoon. Like after you're done with it, you could pour the rest out on a cookie sheet and just go ahead and bake yourself a dadgum cookie. Oh, it's so good. Mooyah Burgers, Fries, and Shakes. Don't forget to download the app to start earning rewards today. Bluebonnet at Highland, Seagan, and Industrialplex. Before we dive into the insurance stuff real quick, we are looking at a nice sunny day today. High of 75 degrees, overnight low 50. Now, as we move through the day, we're going to have sun all day long, but moving through today into tomorrow, overnight hours, we do see a chance of rain entering the forecast somewhere around 2 or 3 a.m., and that chance of rain is going to be with us throughout the day tomorrow. Now, tomorrow's rain is going to set the stage for a legitimate cooling, if you will. What we saw, day before yesterday, last night, the whole works, it's going to get significantly colder. Today's high 75, tomorrow's high 73. Overnight low Friday night into Saturday, 35. Saturday's high, 51. Overnight low Saturday into Sunday, 26. I mean, ridiculous. High of 61 on Sunday, and Monday we'll be right back up to 70 degrees again. So that's what we're looking at weather-wise. Oh, by the way, downtown Baton Rouge right now, 53 degrees. Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan, as we're about 10 weeks before hurricane season, Department of Insurance is stepping up efforts to recruit new companies to join the state's market. More companies are writing insurance policies for homeowners and businesses, in theory, should provide competition and result in lower rates. This has been the theory, and it's proved out in the past. Maybe not in real time, but if rates don't rise at the level that they would be expected to, that's considered the same thing. This week, the Louisiana Department of Insurance is encouraging companies to learn more about the state's market. They hosted a conference down in New Orleans. The folks over at Hometown Productions were at that conference, which is why we have this video and audio of Insurance Commissioner Jim Donnellan talking about increasing the competition in the insurance market ahead of hurricane season.
We have important information here that can be obtained online through our website for all forms of insurance, whether you're an agent or a policyholder or a company out of state looking to come to our Louisiana market, which we're always in the process of recruiting. They can find that information, see how we interact with the industry, and learn something in the process by attending either in person next year or maybe tomorrow, or online through our website at ldi.la.gov, Louisiana Department of Insurance.la.gov.
Donnellan knows that recruitment's an uphill battle, though. I mean, as many efforts as he wants to put out, it's an uphill battle, as it seems that recently we seem to be ground zero for storms, don't we? Laura, Delta, Zeta in 2020, Ida in 2021. Honestly, these last two hurricane seasons have made it seem like Mother Nature has it in for us as bad as the NCAA has it in for Will Wade. These last two seasons have been just brutal. Insurance Commissioner Donnellan recognizes this, and knowing that going into it can help in the recruiting battle.
We are one of the most challenged property and casualty insurance markets in America, no question about that. On a per capita basis, much more so than our sister states of Florida and Texas over the past 100 years, having hurricanes make landfall in our state. So we're in the middle of the bullseye, and we saw it over the past year and a half with Laura impacting Lake Charles and Ida making landfall in Port Fourchon and devastating the southeast corner of our state. That makes it difficult to keep and to attract more property insurers to our market.
Now, it does make it more difficult, but we also have wins on our side. We also have our own history to lean on to say, hey, we've been hit before and we come right back. We've rebounded before. We'll rebound again. And in the past, the insurance commissioner has gone out and sold the state all over again. And, you go back 17 years, and you'll see how history has been able to show that we can have a winning record after the fact.
We've been very successful in doing that over the past 15 years since Katrina. This gives us an opportunity to sell our state and the stability and viability of our market, notwithstanding those two devastating impacts to our citizens and our businesses all across Louisiana.
Following up on what the insurance commissioner led with and the theory we were talking about, and by the way, thanks again to Hometown Productions for the video and audio there. Following up on what he had to say, increased competition is the silver bullet, is it not? Or should be the silver bullet. It is the silver bullet in every other facet of the economy. Why wouldn't it be here? The silver bullet to lower rates. Point to me, please, the area where you are not going to see increased competition benefit the consumer. Now, that being said, 2020 and 2021 have to stop repeating themselves from an actual storm standpoint. The insurance commissioner can get out there and try to hustle all he wants to. If we keep getting pounded by storms, well, we just end up SOL. We've got to get a reprieve from the annual full-on, constant rotating disaster. We were talking with State Treasurer John Schroder last hour about how state commissions can only meet via Zoom in times of a declared emergency. Well, because of the pandemic, we're always in a declared emergency, but from a natural disaster standpoint, how many of those have we seen in recent years? Too many. By the way, and this is neither here nor there, but increased competition will help in every other field of insurance as well. I don't know if I want to even bring this up, but that's why tort reform was so big when it passed. We're not seeing it play out nearly as quickly as anyone would like, especially those who, were most vocal about passing tort reform. It's been a slow burn, to say the least, and the pandemic hasn't helped in any stretch. But over time, an environment that is more conducive to insurance companies being able to operate profitably will make its way back to, hopefully, seeing an effect in our premiums. And in order for an insurance company to operate profitably, well, getting out of all those quick-hit settlements was a big thing. That being said, while the commissioner's out on the recruiting trail, while he's doing his thing behind the scenes, is it too early for us to start looking at this year's hurricane season? My gut reaction would say yes, it is way too early. From a strict news perspective, we got a regular legislative session to get through. It's back to square one. Well, not quite. We talked with Franklin Foyle earlier in the show. The governor vetoed the congressional district map, the redistricting map. We got that to get remedied. Who knows when the next COVID variant is going to make us lose our minds again. And, oh, yeah, Garth Brooks is going to play Tiger Stadium before the next hurricane season, too. Is it too soon for us to start digging in, to start looking? Recent history being what it's been, I'm just guessing that prep for this year's season is going to take on an added level of urgency. I mean, not full-on Drew Brees in a 2-minute drill. But definitely, since it's about March Madness, since we're in championship week right now, definitely that section of the basketball game that's after the last media timeout with 4 minutes to go, that's what this year's Atlantic Hurricane season is going to look like. All right, we got to take a quick break. We got Your Money Now breathing down our necks. Going to take a break. We will come back, close it out next. Not nearly done. Got a couple more topics to cover here on Talk 107.3. When it's back and forth and you're going to be Johnny on the spot, just set it down for that. Galen says it is doubtful that there was any breakage in the water mains because there would be boil water advisories. So, if there was a breakage in the water main, yes, there would absolutely be a boil water advisory to immediately follow. My level of curiosity is, how did it get fixed so quickly? Like, it was gross as hell. It was disgusting. Like dookie water. Or dripping dookie water all over my carpet. It was gross, but it got progressively better as the night wore on. Galen says Louisiana's third behind Florida and Texas for total hurricane landings. When focusing on major hurricanes, it's a virtual three-way tie. I don't know. I didn't fact check him. I don't know. I get why Florida would be number one because it's like all of Florida, right? You're on the Atlantic side, you're on the Gulf side, like you're going to get crushed. I don't get why Texas is so high. The amount of square footage, I don't know. All right, we got one segment to go, and I thought I knew where we were going in this segment, and then I didn't write it down. We might recap the top story of the day. Don't care about that topic. Bing bong. Oh, there it is. Okay. Using a sports vernacular, you have to throw a curveball to get LA, but fastballs hit Texas. Yeah. Simultaneously, though, using a different sport, hitting Louisiana is hitting the 1-2 pocket in bowling. Hitting Texas is like skirting towards the gutter. Mexico would be the actual gutter. But you're scraping the 7-pin when you hit Texas. Now, the way it's laid out, it's backwards. You'd have to be a left-handed bowler for that to work. If you're a right-handed bowler, it's the 1-3 pocket. But well, who the hell posted that? WBRZ's website, they posted up the story. 2 people were shot at a suburban Baton Rouge home early Thursday morning. Shots were first reported on Firewood Drive off O'Neill Lane. The Baton Rouge Police Department said shots were fired from outside the house. Why? O'Neill Lane's not within the city limits. That should be the sheriff's office.
Odd.
This isn't a History Channel. Sitting on the Food Network. Cool. .856 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. One segment to go before we get out of here. Just to reiterate the top story of the day, we've been talking about it on and off throughout the show. Governor John Bel Edwards announced last night. The press release came out at 6:52 p.m., so I guess we can call that last night. He's vetoing the proposed congressional district map. Announced other action on the newly drawn district maps as well. First two paragraphs before we get into the full statement. Today, Governor John Bel Edwards vetoed the congressional redistricting map drawn by Louisiana's legislature because it does not add a second majority minority district and runs afoul of federal law. He also announced that he will not sign the state, House, and Senate district maps passed in the recent redistricting session, allowing them to become law without approval. That he has also signed into law maps that designated new districts for the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education and the Public Service Commission. He says, the press release says, out of the 163 total districts created by the legislature and the various bills passed, not a single additional majority-minority district was created, despite the fact that the percentage of the black population increased and the white population decreased. The problem here is while that runs afoul of federal law because you don't have straight racial numbers, in order to draw that map to adhere to the racial numbers, you would have to gerrymander, which is also running afoul of federal law. Regular legislative session convenes on Monday. We talked with State Senator Franklin Foyle in our first hour. Fantastic conversation. If you missed it, it's available on demand at talk1073.com. Talk with Franklin Foyle about where do we go from here. Is it back to square one? He says no. There's going to be the possibility to override the veto. But once you override the veto, then you go back to redrawing a map. You redraw a map. If that map gets through, well, now you're going to look at lawsuits and court delays. Will we have new maps before we vote in the fall? We certainly won't have new maps before we vote this spring. Will we have them before we vote in the fall? I doubt it. We got too much ground to cover. Here we go. Shout out to every guest I had on today. Fantastic lineup today. Luke Mixon talked about no-fly zones. He went to Top Gun, no big deal. State Senator Franklin Foyle, State Treasurer John Schroder, Lieutenant Don Coppola, Greg Accardo from LSU. All great conversations. Before I get you out of here, I want to ask you one more time about what you're sleeping on at night. Got a lumpy mattress? Does it stink and you can't get rid of the smell? Have you rotated it so many times that it just doesn't do any good to rotate it anymore? Go visit Mitch Kimball over at the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet and tell him I sent you. Why? Because you'll get free delivery and a free pillow. More than that, though, Mitch wants to make sure you're taken care of. Try out as many mattresses as you can. Lay down anywhere throughout the showroom. 4065 Florida Boulevard or the corner of Jefferson and Hoosier 2. There's always deals going on. There's always great financing available. And like I said, drop my name, get free delivery and a free pillow at either location of the Baton Rouge Mattress Outlet, 4065 Florida Boulevard, or the corner of Jefferson and Hoosier 2. I got 20 seconds left. There's not enough time for me to talk about legislative priorities. We'll be delving into that, if not tomorrow, then first thing Monday as the regular session is upon us. That's going to do it for me. Fox News Rundown is next. Thank you so much for listening. So, I absolutely love talking business, but I feel like my reputation is in politics, and I don't know how far I can go to run away from that reputation. It's like when Glenn Davis didn't want to be called Big Baby anymore, or Baby Shaq anymore.
I mean, if you just keep going, eventually that'll dissipate.
I don't think it will. I don't, because the nature of talk radio is bigger than what. Oh, I got to get out of here. YouTube, we will see you tomorrow. We got a lot of fun stuff in store. Not just the Adam Richmond stuff, but a whole across the board lineup. We're talking with Dan Eberhardt from Canary Energy. Haggai's in for a cup of tech gumbo. There's another podcast that's market-based that we're going to dive into as well. It's a slew of fun coming your way tomorrow. We will see you then. Thank you for playing along.